Nothing. Let's see if this works. I don't know if I'm up and running. 1 second. I'm trying to... If you guys are seeing anything, please let me know. Yeah, okay. It looks like we have people here. And, okay, yeah, I had to reconfigure a ton of stuff, guys. So it looks like we're doing better here. I shouldn't have any video issues like we had during the MicroStrategy call. Am I feeling better? No, I'm still pretty sick. Okay, good. Okay, so the quality should hopefully be better. I am still having an issue, though. I can't get CNBC to play in the Brave browser. There's some kind of DRM content, copyright suppression thing going on. I can get it to work in Chrome, but if I enable Chrome too, then I have issues where if I play or if I have TradingView in Chrome and Brave, it ends up closing sessions. So I got to figure that out. So we probably won't have any CNBC today unless I do some toggling with the screen being shared. And maybe I can do that. Let me just take a look here real quick. If I did this, and then where's the Chrome window? And if I did this, it's a little weird, but whatever. That might be okay. All right, so if we need to, we can switch between that just in a really archaic way and get that to work. Let me real quickly, though, visual stocks. There we go. All right, so we're kind of ghetto working. I'll take it. Good morning. Good morning, Gemini Knight, Manny247, Mario, Victor, Toby. Hope you're all having a good day. It looked like, last night I've got CleanSpark earnings up, or at least CleanSpark financial data and latest data points. And again, they did all right. So we've got CleanSpark in pre-market up 7.13%, which is a refreshing change of pace because we don't always have good things happening with CleanSpark. So we'll take it. Let's just take a look over here real quick and do some zoom in. So again, not exactly an astronomical move higher, but it's something. And let me switch real quickly here to get to the right template because it's not showing it. There we go. That's better. All right. So again, I think we still have a bullish pennant. This was kind of the make it or break it moment, right? And I should probably move this just a hair lower. This is the make it or break it moment that we needed in order to be able to have CleanSpark go higher. Bitcoin markets can be hella frustrating, guys. If you're new here, it's just how it works. It's really rough. Like Bitcoin will punish you. The crypto markets will punish you, and then all of a sudden one day it'll be great and everything will be good and you'll be back to where you want to be. And we're nearing that point. We're real close to it if we're not at it. And so we've had plenty of opportunity to break underneath it here, and now we're bouncing up. We got a lot of air between here and 14, 15 on CleanSpark. So I think we're finally reaching that point with CleanSpark where we're going to end up going higher. I do want to say a few other things too. So at 7:30, we have the economic calendar. Lots of data coming out today. We got lots of job-related data. FS Insight is thinking that if we see bad jobs data, that it'll actually be good for markets because Powell was saying that he doesn't want to see the jobs sector weaken much more than it already has. So we might actually get another rate cut, especially with all the pressure that Trump is going to be applying on Papa Powell. And again, we know that with Doge, we're going to see the 10-year coming down. And I think TLT is going to do really good. And I think with that, you're going to see a pretty good market turnaround, I believe, as people start to realize that things aren't as bad as what they had previously anticipated in regard to markets. Because we want to see the juicing of the economy. We want to see the 10-year come down. We want to know that our borrowing rates are going to be a lot lower towards the end of the year, if nothing else, for our own government. And we got a lot to talk about in that front. We did have Stephen Besant talking recently too. He got an interview, just correcting a bunch of things with Doge. With Doge laying off, Doge is laying off. So it's not even just the layoffs. It's finding all the corruption throughout just U.S. aid alone. is probably one of the biggest scandals in political history, at least going back to maybe, I don't know, Nixon, at a federal level. This is insane. I don't think people understand the gravity of what's happening right now, but it's a big deal. We'll probably start on that front real quick. And again, I'm still under the weather, guys. I'm trying to get better. I really want, who was it? Yeah, let me go back here real quick. Charge. So I don't know what all happened here, but this is super sad. So I'm focusing on my health a lot right now, guys. But Dr. Lewis, charge stack, I believe has passed away. I don't know what all it is. It's a heart-related condition or something. Cantonese Cat was responding. I saw Matthew Schultz send something out too. But it's just really sad. This is one of the people in the space. I don't know if you guys have interacted with him. But it definitely makes me realize that, like, he was just posting stuff. Like February 1st. Look at this. Just posting stuff. And now he's gone. So I don't know. It just makes me really, really, really want to focus on my health and getting better. Yeah. This isn't everything, guys. The whole investment thing isn't everything in life. Anyway, so sorry to everybody that might know him or have family, or his family, just all that. It really sucks. All right. Department of Government Efficiency. Let's start off here today. And again, I'm sorry for like the low. I'm still sick and trying to get better. But it says, Elon Musk, can you confirm if this is true? If so, thank you. I appreciate it. I don't know if this is true, but if this is true, it'd be amazing. It says Elon's paying $40 million of his own money to do 5 30-second Super Bowl commercials exposing government waste. That was found by Doge. I think that would be a brilliant idea. I don't know if that's real, but man, would that be amazing. And in case you guys missed this is nuts.
Is to serve our Treasure Valley.
So again, we've kind of always known, you know that media is obviously being controlled, right? But maybe what we didn't know is that through U.S. aid, 6,000 journalists, 700 newsrooms, and I forget how many NGOs, it was like 267 or something, were funded by U.S. aid. So blatant political corruption to ensure that everybody's on the same page. And again, just like
news produces.
It's why we get this.
About checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
So we finally know the truth, right? We know why this happened. We know why this, repetitive, like everybody's got the exact same lines to say every single day. We know why that happened, right? They were getting paid to do it. I do think this is going to be a death of a lot of these organizations are just going to die off now. Politico, I guess, missed payroll. So there's a lot of stuff happening. Rep Jim Jordan, I've always liked Jim Jordan, even when I was leaning more Democrat. He said, Democrats are mad that Republicans are committed to spending your tax dollars more efficiently. Think about that. Shamath says Doge has existed twice before. Most recently was under President Clinton's National Partnership for Reinventing Government, and most famously in 1941 under then Senator Truman's Truman Committee. That's by far the most related, I think. Interesting that historically both previous efforts at Doge were Democratic-led. Also important to know that they were that with very little money, specifically less than $7 million over 7 years, the Truman Committee saved the USA $10 to $15 billion. That's a lot in today's terms, guys. That was 1941. Inflation adjusted, the Truman Committee saved the U.S. about $250 billion today. We're going to do a lot better than that, but we've also got a lot more waste. So it's very exciting times right now. And again, these were previously run by Democrats. And I just want to say this, Bill Clinton also, he had a balanced budget, right? That's the last time we really had that. And the level of effort that Bill Clinton was able to put towards it and Truman pales, I think, in comparison to what we're doing right now with Doge. And there's some people like Darius Dale, a guy I like, the 42 macro guy, who was saying something about how he believes that, it's just not going to be that impactful what Doge is doing. That's complete bullshit. I don't know where he's getting that from, but that's just insanity. What's happening is going to be very impactful. Kobayashi Letter said this is insane. Since buying X, so this is separate, but I'm bringing this up because this is what's going to happen with Doge. This is what Doge is doing to the federal government right now. Even though this is just representative of what happened with X, it's going to happen here too, and in very short order. Since buying X, again, this is about 2 years ago, Elon Musk has improved its EBITDA margin from 13 to 46%, while revenue has nearly halved. So they had this massive onslaught against them to prevent them from being able to survive, right? We know that. We know an orchestrated attack to try and prevent it, to basically kill X. And yet, even with the halving of revenue, on half the amount of revenue, Elon Musk is generating double the amount of EBITDA. This means that if X's revenue rises back to $5 billion, it would generate 3.5 times more EBITDA than it did prior to the acquisition. Efficiency is an understatement. So X now is in great shape. It's doing amazing things. Grok is integrated into it. It's just a wonderful world, right? And yeah. This came from just Elon over a period of time, putting some effort towards it. He's putting way more effort towards what he's doing in government. I can tell you that much. This says, one bad dude said, "Are you awake now? $26.3 billion in wasteful spending found and eliminated in 1 week." And these people elected are trying to stop it. Open your eyes. USAID scandal is far more reaching than I think anyone is even imagining. It says government corruption we've seen, government corruption we haven't seen. And again, we're going to be eliminating the Department of Education. I actually think the IRS is going to go away, as insane as that sounds. It says fire Elon Musk press conference. It's great how they're just like trying to target people and dox them and get them murdered. Isn't that wonderful? That just screams America. Elon Musk crashes and breaks everything he buys. Let's just listen to this. Listen to this idiotic senior senator. Listen to this guy.
Elon Musk crashes and breaks everything he buys. He thinks he can buy our government. We cannot allow him to crash and break our air traffic control system.
Yeah, he's going to be redoing that too. And he's going to redo our defense system. We're going to change what we build. I don't know if you guys realize everything that's getting ready to happen right now.
Look at what happened when he bought Twitter. It just started crashing. Again, not a big deal if your app doesn't open one day. It is a really big deal if Americans don't know whether or not their air safety is protected.
Just a fucking clown show, guys. Just a fucking clown show. Like, oh yeah, Elon, known for crashing and breaking things, not known for making the world a better place in like every possible way, not known for giving internet to the entire fucking planet, not known for trying to make us a multi-planetary species, not known for single-handedly creating the EV sector in this country, not known for shooting up 32-story buildings and then catching them with fucking chopsticks, not known for giving blind people the ability to be able to see, or quadriplegics the ability to be able to interact with their environments again, not known for freeing speech for the entirety of the world and maybe saving our democracy, not known for this and so much more, just known for crashing stuff. Totally makes sense. Great argument, guys. Really wonderful job. James Stevenson said, when you're finding fraud and somebody else stop, that's who's doing the fraud. I agree. Bill Ackman, I love that he's so on board with this now. What more evil will we uncover? Says most people are unaware that USAID gifted in 2016 $310 million of our taxpayer money went to a cement factory project in Gaza. We built the fucking tunnels in Gaza that they were able to use to build up weapons so that they could massacre people on 10/7. We helped fund this. And it wasn't even just that. We gave hundreds of millions of dollars to George Soros. Why the fuck is that happening? My watch is doing, it's got a flashlight on it, and I don't know how to turn it off. That's annoying. Got to figure that shit out. I'm just going to take it off for now. I paid like $1,100 for this watch. Awesome. But I don't know where the flashlight came from. I didn't even know it had one. Did he say geriatric system? No, I don't. Are we talking about me or somebody else? All right, let's keep going. Breaking, AKA says breaking an investigation is underway to find out who in the government has been receiving kickbacks from USAID. That should be fun. Lex Friedman said, everyone should be in favor of transparent, efficient government. Seems obvious. And again, guys, the reason I'm focusing so much on the Department of Government efficiency on Donald Trump isn't just because I think they're transforming the United States for much better. It's going to be incredibly impactful on our investments and our thesis going forward. You have to have it. Jesse's the real Iron Man, I guess, right? If Iron Man was going to blind you with a watch, then that's me. You know what's crazy? This watch has like a month battery life. It's probably less with what's going on right now. Garmin watch, yeah, it's like the most expensive one they make. It's really cool. It's really amazing. Like it's got a month battery, which is pretty insane, and it monitors like everything you do. Mila Joy said America gives the Taliban $40 billion $40 million, every single week. That's $2.08 billion a year. Can you imagine giving $2 billion to terrorists while veterans sleep on the fucking street? While North Carolinians sleep in tents during the winter? 60,000 federal employees have now accepted Trump's buyout offer. But again, Democrats are trying to sue in order to be able to prevent this from happening. But that's not going to work. We control everything, which is up from 40,000 that was reported on February 5th. So that's just 24 hours and we're up 20,000. This we have to listen to. This is the Scott Bessent interview. It's 4 minutes long. It talks about Doge and the Treasury. Again, guys, between Stephen Moran and Scott Bessent and a few others, we have the game plan for what's going to be happening in America with tariffs, the Treasury, what they're trying to do with the bond market and the long end of the curve. All this stuff. All of this stuff is very, very clearly articulated from these guys in their previous writings and what they're saying. But let's listen real quickly to Scott Bessent, who's just an awesome dude. He's very brilliant.
I'm here with U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent in Washington. Mr. Secretary, thank you for joining me.
So good to see you.
Mr. Secretary, we are inside the cash room at the Treasury Department. It is almost...
It's going to be hard for U.S. unemployment to grow really, really fast, Viking, because we're deporting a bunch of illegal immigrants that were getting very low wages, that were taking other people's jobs, and the businesses are going to need to fill those jobs with other laborers. So I actually think it's going to be really hard to push unemployment up too high.
It's impossible to overstate how
not that the job market can't weaken a little bit before it gets better, but again, that's why I've got TLT, because I think when you have the government paying off debts in a very strong fashion and making it to where, again, we're just a country that people can depend on from a financial aspect, being able to survive, especially with what's going on in China right now and around the world and Europe too. Again, we're going to have tariffs. We might have pain ahead across markets, but that's why we have TLT. So
important the work that is done in this building is to the U.S. financial system. Yet right now, there is widespread concern about the Doge team's access to sensitive payment systems. Are you worried at all that access and that...
Yes, in 13 minutes, we have jobs-related data. We'll be looking at that.
Tinkering of the payment systems could affect the Treasuries market or cause any disruption?
Good. Well, Saleha, thank you for asking me about that, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. First of all, when you say the Doge team, these are Treasury employees. It is 2 Treasury employees, one of whom I personally interviewed in his final round. There is no tinkering with the system. They are on read-only. They are looking. They can make no changes. It is an operational program to suggest improvement. So we make 1.3 billion payments a year, and this is 2 employees who are working with a group of long-standing employees.
The letter that the Treasury Department sent earlier this week talked about how the team currently does not have access to change the system. Have they at any point this year had the ability to make changes?
Absolutely not. This is no different than you would have at a private company. And by the way, the ability to change the system sits over at the Federal Reserve. So it doesn't even lie in this building. So they could make suggestions on how to change the system, but we don't even run the system.
And if they ask for, if they request the ability to change the system, would you grant that?
No, again, they have no ability to change the system. I have no ability to grant that change. That they could make suggestions, then it would go to the Federal Reserve, and just like any large ERP system, there would be tests, there would be this, there would be that, and then the Fed will determine whether these changes are robust or not. not.
As the Secretary of Treasury, you also oversee.
Yeah, they're gonna redo everything, guys. Everything in government is getting redone. Our military is getting redone. We're talking about redoing the software for the FAA. We're going to dismantle the Department of Education. We're going to revamp. He's going to talk about the IRS here in a second. Listen to this next part. We're going to basically eliminate massive portions of the IRS. If the IRS agents, the 80,000 that were hired on, don't want to take the buyout offer, which is further extended out into May because they want to make sure that they can get past tax season, right? But if they don't take the offer, they're just going to send them to the fucking border, and they can stand on the border and look for illegal immigrants crossing over. I'm pretty sure they're not going to want that on their job description. So I think it's going to work pretty easily at getting rid of them.
Oversee the IRS. Do you know?
And I mean, I don't see anything that stops them from doing this with every agency of government they want to do away with. So all the protections that the Biden administration put in the 11th hour in order to be able to prevent people from being fired, I think if you just ship them all to fucking Texas and New Mexico and put them on the border and then tell them that they have to stand there and look for illegal immigrants 8 hours a day and move their entire family over to these locations in order to be able to do this job, I think they're going to fucking quit. I think it's pretty safe to say they're going to quit. So I don't think the Trump administration is going to have any issues getting rid of people.
What kind of access the team has to IRS data or individual taxpayer
IRS data.
Well, I'm glad you asked that too, because look, the IRS, the privacy issue is one of the biggest issues. And over the past 4 years, we've seen a lot of leaks out of there. The IRS systems are quite poor. When I started in college in 1980, I learned the program in COBOL. I think there are 12 different systems at the IRS that still run on COBOL, but as of now, there is no engagement at the IRS.
And if they request that access, would you sign off on that request?
They haven't, so we'll take that when it comes to it. I think there is a lot to do there, but the president was elected with a big agenda, and to the extent that getting the IRS in better shape is part of that, sure. Because look, with the IRS, what am I concerned about? I am concerned about collections, I'm concerned about privacy, and I'm concerned that the system is robust and customer service.
But do you think that if they ask for access, that is something you would consider signing off on?
There are a lot of things I would consider, but look, we're in the middle of the tax filing season right now. We even, with the government buyouts that expire at midnight tonight, we have mandated that the IRS customer-facing employees, that they're not eligible for that until May 15th. So I don't imagine anything's going to go on at the IRS until then or beyond.
All right. So Scott Bessent is a brilliant man. And I think they're going to do a lot here to get rid of the bad guys. Daniel Dibbs said, did you see that ChargeStack passed away? I did. I actually talked to it a little bit earlier from a heart attack, which is an absolute bummer. So somebody was asking about my health. I have high blood pressure and high cholesterol. My blood pressure is getting a little bit better from losing weight. I also have a growth on the outside of my nut, which got checked out yesterday by a urologist. Sounds like it's pretty easy. They could fix that. No cancer risk. They just have to cut open the sac, pull my ball out, cut some shit off the outside of it, put it back in. And evidently I go home in 45 minutes, so I might be doing that in the future. And then I got a growth in my leg, and I want to make sure that that's not cancerous. But yeah, so I got my own stuff to work through, and seeing what happened with ChargeStack just brings it home a lot more, honestly. It lets me know that I need to take care of my health and start balancing my life a little bit better. And so I'm going to do that. But yeah, it's very, very sad to hear. Very sad to hear. All right. Department of Gov. Treasury official allowed fraudulent payments worth billions to continue. Trump administration removes him. David Lebrick, a career Treasury Department official, was pushed out by the Trump administration. He oversaw $1 billion in federal payments, but allowed fraudulent transactions to proceed hundreds, if not thousands of times, a blatant violation of the law. This is exactly the problem with the federal government, unelected bureaucrats making policy decisions against the will of the elected president. Lebrick didn't just obstruct Trump's executive order. He actively enabled financial misconduct. The Trump administration has made it clear there will be no tolerance for insubordination, corruption, or rogue officials who undermine the law. Agencies need to be slashed and held accountable. 80% of the bureaucracy has no oversight, no transparency, and no legitimacy. This is why Elon Musk is working to put all this on blockchain to make it better. Let's see here. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for the comments about my health. I'm going to try and get better. Guys, exercise, eat healthy foods, sleep well, and meditate. Life hacks. Yeah, dude, it's stuff I didn't focus on my whole life, but I'm definitely focusing on it now. And with the help of Rob Group and his wife, I'll be doing a lot better at that. Lord Bebo, 90% of Ukraine's media is funded through U.S. aid. They used tax dollars to start a war and killed hundreds of thousands. I don't like that comment very much at the end there. Obviously, Russia started the war here. Not that there weren't things that happened that could almost just, I don't know. I don't want to get into all the weeds. It's complicated. But we don't need the war, and it's not good that 90% of it was funded by U.S. aid. We have about 4 minutes, guys, and we'll look at the data that's coming out. Again, Libs of TikTok, it says Senator Eric Schmidt breaks down some of the insane spending, $45 million for DEI scholarships in Burma, $3 million for girls-centered climate action in Brazil, $125 million to racialize public health. Why do we need to racialize anything? $280,000 for diverse bird watchers, $1.5 million for DEI in Serbia, $70,000 for DEI musical in Ireland, $2.5 million for electric vehicles in Vietnam, $47,000 for trans opera in Colombia. Why are we pushing all of this? Why were they pushing all of this all around the world? I don't know. Maybe it's because of Klaus Schwab. $32,000 for trans comic book in Peru, $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala, $6 million for tourism in Egypt, because we need to make sure that tourism in Egypt is good. Jesse Bro, how stock market will react according to your expertise based on job data. Tom Lee was saying that the bad jobs data will be good for the markets because we'll look at an increase or we'll look at a reduction in rates. So I think that's good. Damn, I have high cholesterol too because I love pizza too much. That was my problem, Jet. Ditch carbs, sugar, and seed oils. Yeah, if I'm getting sugars, I'm trying to get it through the natural way, through like fruit and stuff like that. But yeah, you're right. How are the liberals going to explain how Chelsea Clinton became a multimillionaire off American tax dollars? Chelsea Clinton raked in $84 million. That's your U.S. aid. Today, 78 contracts were terminated for convenience across DEI, non-performing media consulting categories, including one for groundwater exploration and assessment in the Islamic Republic of Mauritania. $110 million of total savings. This is all just absurd. I could go through it forever. Massive amounts of corruption. They funneled aid to BLM so that they could do this stuff and so that they could help them get out of prison. It's just all super fucked up. All super fucked up. Let's just take a look over here and see what we have. Looks like the Mexican data came out. Let's just look at some of that while we're waiting here. So we've got Mexico inflation rate at 3.59%. Oh, hey, guys, look, consensus was 3.61. Forecast was 3.8. Inflation is lower than expected. I could have told you that, and I have, right? We're seeing deflation kicking in or disinflation in some areas of the world. That will continue. And again, I'm sorry, I can't get CNBC. I will be able to pull it up. I'll just have to switch screens. I got to figure out why. There's probably something with DRM and maybe like IP protections that's getting blocked in Brave now for some reason based on their default settings. So I got to figure that out. All right, so we got Canada and U.S. data starting to come up here. But yeah, even core inflation, 3.66. They were expecting 3.7. So we're seeing lower than expected inflation in Mexico. That's good. The more we see that in all parts of the world, the more it'll lean the Fed to be like, maybe inflation isn't the real problem, which it isn't. And I don't know why they can't figure that out. How much money is being wasted at the Fed with these bureaucrats that are making tons of money that don't know what the fuck they're doing, and this guy in his basement can tell you what's coming before they can. I don't know. It's probably a lot. Light is the best disinfectant. Yes, Macro Polo. Yes. That is very fucking true. MB, cholesterol is 80% stress related and only 20%. Yeah, I've got to do meditation is probably a big thing for me. That's going to be a big part for me. And Tram was telling me that too. That's Rob's wife. I think wife. I never really asked. I think so. Pretty sure. But yeah, and I definitely have to. She told me I got to slow down, and I do have to slow down. It's one of the hardest things for me to do. So, and being a finance person, and then being responsible for the financial livelihoods of, I don't know, helping out for like at least a dozen people. I think it creates a level of stress. So I'll be good once I get past my 10 mil. Once I get past my 10 million in the portfolio, I'll be pretty good. George, what's up, buddy? Love you, man. Happy Friday, sir. All right, so we got 20 seconds here, guys, and then we'll get this data. Aphrodite said, don't get upset when you discuss politics. Yeah, I'll try not to. Honestly, some of that, I don't know. I just kind of have fun with it. But there's other times where I do get upset. You're right. That's probably not helping. If I was looking at my watch, which is blinding me right now, it probably wouldn't be good. It'd probably be because it shows stress too. How amazing is that? Honestly, though, when I look at it and it tells me I'm stressed, I think that stresses me out even more. Got to have your passion. I also struggle with getting upset. Okay, cool. So you know the pain. All right, data out. So non-farm payrolls private, 111K versus 141 and 180. That sucks. Manufacturing payrolls are 3K positive, but we were expecting negative 2K and 5K. Weird. Let's just go to the top here. There's a lot of weird stuff. Non-farm payrolls, 143K, much lower than consensus and forecast of 170 and 205. Unemployment rate stayed at 4, so it actually dropped 0.1%. Average hourly earnings year over year, 4.1% versus 3.8 and 3.9. We got a weird mix, guys, of lower unemployment, not as good non-farm payrolls, average hourly earnings improving, participation rate doing slightly better, 0.1% better than forecast at 62.6%. Average weekly hours at 34.1, slightly lower than the 34.3 expected. Government payrolls are 32K. That came in slightly better than expected for forecast of 25. That number is going to look very, very different, I think, for February. Manufacturing payrolls, and I don't know, maybe it won't look different right away. Manufacturing payrolls, 3K. We were expecting negative numbers on that. That's really great. This is a weird combination of, like, I'd say really good data. It'll be interesting to see how it moves markets, if they go up or down. Tesla's down like 0.9%. TLT is down 0.37%, so it's taken a little bit of hit from this data point. And let's see here. MicroStrategy at 0.86. How are we doing on CleanSpark? What's that doing right now? CleanSpark is up 6.36. So I'd say the market is taking a little bit of a hit from this. We can watch Tesla. Do you think the bottom is at 350 and will go up in March? I hope so, but it's hard to know. There's a lot of narratives going around with Tesla right now. There's this narrative that's been brewing about the fact that Elon Musk, because he's doing this stuff in Doge, liberals aren't going to buy his cars anymore. And that might be true over a shorter period of time. We can see some of that in Europe, but we also have the Model Y refresh. So the data is a little muddy. Go carnivore, research it. Yeah, no, I might actually. We'll see. We'll see. I got my nutritionist and personal trainer now, so I'm gonna try and work with them and do as much as I can to get better. So anyway, so this data is a weird combination of like not bad data, but then maybe that's bad for markets over the short term. But then it's also hitting TLT. TLT's down 0.5%. Again, Tesla's down 1.12 now. Let's actually just, since I can do some stuff here, let's just pop over the stock heat map. Really weird reactions in the market. So again, Tesla down about 1%. Amazon, great earnings, bad upcoming forecast I think with good reason. So down 3.2%. So if you just look in here, some of the Magnificent Seven aren't doing too much, but Tesla, especially Amazon, are just getting booked today. So I don't know. I think today could be more pain. CleanSpark is trading at asset value. Yeah, right. I think I posted Rex Finance's link yesterday for the earnings. He had a few technical issues, but he got through it. But he was talking about how it's basically trading. The market cap is trading for their net asset value. So it's really low and affordable right now, especially if you look at earnings again like this. If you look at revenues going up, if you look at net income was what, $246 million, by far their best quarter ever. And then if we do see, which I believe will happen by the end of Q1, a further uptick in Bitcoin's price, we'll see a good Q1 reported in Q2 as well. But again, it's a rougher market. You can see how their mining hash rate has increased a lot, but you can see how there's a lot of people. There's a lot of competition right now because the actual amount of Bitcoin they're mining is going down. So I do believe that there's some technical hurdles that I disagree with Rex on right now in regard to just straight mining plays. But yeah, interesting times ahead for sure. For sure. And let me just see here real quick. So again, CleanSpark up 5.4. So CleanSpark is getting hit by all of this. And I think everything could get hit by this, which is weird because it's great data. But again, that's just the way the world works. There's always confusion over the short term, even if it's not rational and it doesn't make sense. It's good that Mexico's seeing less inflation. It's good that, let's see here too. And we didn't look at Canada. Unemployment rate in Canada, 6.6%. So it reduced. It was 6.7 last, and they thought it was going to go up, but it didn't. Employment change, 76,000. So much higher than the consensus and forecast. So that number came in hot in Canada. Full-time employment change, 35,000 versus a negative 10. So again, all the data in the United States and Canada in regard to jobs-related data looked more positive than negative. I do believe that changes dramatically in February, though. I don't know if all the government jobs are going to show in there, though, because they haven't done – I don't know what will happen with the buyout offers. I don't know if – because, again, they're going to pay them through, like, September. So I don't know if – I think the jobs-related data for government payroll might not look that different over the short term. That might be stuff that we don't really see until Q3, Q4. I'm not sure. I've got to dig into that and see what it's going to look like. But this is good data. All of it's good data, guys. Let's just look at non-farm payrolls. It's good data, which is bad, which is stupid, but it's the world we live in. Non-farm payrolls, though, that was the weak part, right? So 143. So we really did weaken this. So that's, if there's anything that's weird, it's the fact that non-farm payrolls was low. Data probably a little too good. Yeah, but non-farm payrolls wasn't, though. It wasn't good. So it's one of those things where, again, average hourly earnings is good, but we know government-related payrolls, they might look good in here, but they won't be good in reality come the latter part of this year. So I think you almost have to disregard those. And again, I don't think unemployment's going to go higher, guys. I said this a little bit earlier, but when you're getting rid of a bunch of illegal immigrants and they're getting replaced with real citizens, how does the unemployment rate go higher? But I think what people aren't understanding is that the 10-year can still come down, even in this environment. And it might not be doing that right now because you've got bond vigilantes keeping it from happening. But let me just pull this up real quick here. See if I can find it super fast. Not the Chinese. Not the regular. Yeah, just the regular. Oh, I've got a thesis too. I need to look. Oh, yeah, there's more stuff that I need to look up. Thoughts that I had about different markets I want to start tracking better. This is weird. Why isn't this refreshing? There we go. Okay, so I don't know where we are today if it's flat. It doesn't actually show in the top right corner, but this is a rising, broadening wedge, and the pattern for this wants to break down, and I do think that the 10-year is going to continue to come down. And when I say that with enough conviction where, like, again, the measured move for this thing could be much lower than what we're seeing right now. So again, we might see, and conservatively, I think we could see the low 3% range. I don't know if it happens this year. Maybe it's in 2026, but I think we could start to see the 10-year start to come down a lot. Kathy Wood sold Palantir and Hood this week. Often gives a buying opportunity. No, that's not really true. And you got to realize when she sells those funds, she's selling out of them because they're making her too much money and she can only hold a certain percentage. But again, Palantir guys, they're getting a huge benefit right now because of the government side of things. They're getting a lot of people that are jumping into them because of the whole government efficiency and thinking that Palantir is going to be the biggest part of it. But, and I don't even know if this is updated with today, but their forward PE is 172. Their current PE ratio is almost 600. Their net income for last quarter was $79 million with a free cash flow of $517 million. So $517 million free cash flow. Let's look at a Tesla. Let's just compare this with a Tesla. And again, Tesla didn't have a great quarter. Their free cash flow was $2.1 billion, so it was 4x the size of that. But again, their market cap's higher. Their net income was not great. It was $2.3 billion, but these guys were like 79. Revenues for Tesla were only 25 or almost $26 billion. But this is just astronomically bigger than what we're seeing with Palantir. And the growth rates, if the growth rates slow down with Palantir, you're going to see some things change really quickly. And again, the forward PE here is like 122. The other one was like 170-ish. This PE is 184. The other one was like, what, 7 or 500 and something? I don't even know. Let's go back here. You're just going to see, I don't know, you're going to see some changes in the future. 588.42. So, and don't get me wrong, their CAGR was great. Like, this is a good company. But I do think that eventually we're in the banana zone, guys. If you're into technicals, Palantir is very much in the banana zone. It's in the who even knows anymore zone. But eventually it's going to come down. Here's the biggest risk with Palantir. They didn't have a drawback in ages and less stellar performance will have a massive downward move. Yes, Albert, that's very well said. Very, very well said. That's exactly what we're looking at. When there is underperformance, it's just going to be the end. And then from a technical level, the ability for it to drop is going to be huge. That's exactly what you're looking at. Palantir is tied with XAI. I do like the fact that they integrated Grok 2 into it. That's cool. I had a post about that. I think that was awesome. Real quickly, though, let's take a step back in this data. So, again, data good, bad for market, whatever. We have more data coming out at 9. We got Michigan data, so we'll see what happens with that. We also have wholesale inventories. We got 2 Feds speaking, Kugler and Goolsby. Goolsby's more interesting, but honestly, it's just all such a mess anymore. I don't really trust the Fed with anything. Let's go through Doge a little bit more. Oh, hey, Bitcoin's getting a bounce though, guys, and Tesla's coming back too. So maybe the sentiment is changing. Maybe people are like, maybe this isn't bad. Maybe this isn't bad. Maybe they're starting to realize those government jobs are going to maybe start to come down in the future. And once you subtract that, so Bitcoin's at 98.4, Tesla's only at 0.58. Let's just look over here at the heat map. It does look like maybe the market's starting to wise up a little bit. Yeah, a little bit better on Amazon too. Yeah, not crazy, but again, having some positive reaction. Let's look at CleanSpark. CleanSpark's back up near 7%. We like it. So yeah, maybe the market's starting to figure some of this shit out. If the economy is good and earnings are growing, why do markets really want cuts? Markets want cuts because of the $8 to $9 trillion, 25% of our federal deficit that we have to refinance at the end of the year. If we don't have lower rates for that, it will set us down an uncontrollable path of where we can't pay our bills in the future. And that's probably not good for America and the world, right? Since we're the world reserve currency. So what you want to see is that rates are still going to come down. But I've got to say there's so many arrows in the quiver of Scott Bessent and again, Stephen Moran and his playbook talking about what we're going to do with tariffs and how we're willing to brutalize China. We're willing to bury China. We're willing to bury Canada. We're willing to bury Mexico in order to force them into buying our bonds and figuring out a new Plaza Accord that will probably be called the Mar-a-Lago Accord that will get people on an even playing field that will help pull down our yields so we can refinance our debt at the end of the year. And so I think that the level of brutality that Donald Trump is willing to invoke, I think, is being missed by a lot of people. And that's why I'm in TLT, because if he ends up doing that, TLT will benefit. Right now, it's not doing great. It's down 0.22% in pre-market, and yesterday it was down 0.04. But this is just insurance for me. And again, let me show you. I guess I haven't updated things in a while. Let me bring this over real quick. So again, here's my account. I didn't do great yesterday, down 84,000. But this is my insurance plan right here. it is TLT. It's up about 12% right now, probably going to be down a little bit today. I've got 542,000 of it. It's roughly 11 to 12% of my portfolio right now. I've got to redo the numbers. I'll do that tomorrow. My portfolio has taken a decent whack from PayPal and other stuff. But this is my plan right here, guys. It's TLT, because if what I'm saying is right, and we're going to see Donald Trump whipping tariffs around, and the market takes a downturn for any period of time, this is going to be the insurance policy that lets me buy the dip when everything else is getting butchered. And even if it isn't, even if those things don't happen and the market looks better and everything else takes off, I've got very asymmetric returns in MSTX and MSTR, in CleanSpark, in ARKG, in Tesla, in a lot of these things, in Bitcoin-related investments and shitcoins. I've got a lot that can do really, really well. So that's good for the asymmetric upside. That's all good stuff. And then if the world gets squirrely, I've got TLT. And again, even if the world doesn't get squirrely, I think that there's a decent chance that TLT ends up doing well, because people realize that the U.S. is going to be able to repay their debts, and people that don't want to take on a lot of risk with stocks are going to jump into TLT, and they're going to try it out. Because they'll be like, hey, this is a better idea. I can lock in, 4.46% right now. The 10-year is 4.46%. I can lock that in for 10 years, or I can lock in this 20-year, and they're going to want to do that, and they're going to go with it. And so I think that this could still do well. Albert says Lithuania could start buying 100% of LNG from U.S. We already buy 50%. That could be changed. We buy LNG. We get more U.S. troops here. Our neighbor is Russia. U.S. troops are ultimate deterrent. And here's the thing. And I think we're gonna be getting lots of energy from Russia, and we're gonna open up Russia once the Ukraine-Russian war ends. And I think we're shooting for April to make that come to an end. And so MB said on TLT rates will go down, but not so quick. First, the economy has to take a GDP hit. Yeah, that could possibly be true. I mean, again, here's the thing. I think yields will go down. I like to say yields. Yields will go down on the 10-year and the 20 as people realize that we're able to repay our debts. The only reason yields are high right now in the United States is because people are, I guess you could say that people are willing to speculate in the markets, but also we have a ton of money sitting inside of money market accounts, right? If that money keeps coming down because yields are dropping, that will push people into longer duration securities, like the 10 and the 20 and the 30, because they're like, oh shit, this yield keeps dropping. I want to get in for 10 years because I want to put 10% of my portfolio in something that will give me 4.5%. Especially if I don't think inflation is going to be a major issue in the future. So there's things like that could occur. Oh, real quickly, guys, we've got Kashkari talking. This will kind of look like shit. I can probably change it though. I'm going to move over to this because I want to hear what he has to say about the economic data that happened today. So give me 1 second. This is a little weird the way I'm having to do it until I can get all this fixed. So let me just figure out where this fucking thing is. There we go. All right, and then let me go back here a little bit, and we'll get Kashkari. All right, so let me do this.
4 points moving around. Nasdaq though down about 10. The S&P 500 off about 3, and then the Treasuries right now.
All right, this will work.
The 10-year and the 2-year. Let's look at the 10-year. Right now, 4.468. The 2-year at 4.247. Our own Steve Leisman is still here on set with us, and he's going to be welcoming a very special guest.
Thank you, Andrew. We are pleased to be welcomed this morning by Neil Kashkari, Minneapolis Federal Reserve President, a longtime friend of Squawk Box. Neil, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Steve, for having me.
Sorry for being so ghetto on this today.
Normally, I'd ask you right away about the jobs report, but we were just having a conversation about the gap between what the Fed has been doing in terms of lowering interest rates and the behavior of the 10-year. And I'm wondering, as a Federal Reserve policymaker, a guy who used to work at Goldman, used to save the country working at Treasury or help save the country during the great financial crisis, what you make of the behavior of the 10-year, how worrisome is it to you as a policymaker? Of course, now it's eased back a bit from where it's been.
You know, it's not worrisome, but it's important to try to understand what's driving it. So I and my colleagues spend a lot of time trying to dig into the details to understand the moves. As you know, since we started cutting rates in September, the 10-year didn't go down, it went up. Right now it's up about 80 or 83 basis points relative to where it was when we started our cutting cycle, which is counterintuitive. When I dig into the data, around 40% of that move is in inflation compensation, which ultimately we control. You might interpret that to say markets saw a more dovish than expected Fed and then boosted inflation compensation a little bit. I'm not worried about that. We will get inflation down to 2%. We're committed to that. The balance, the other 60% of it, is really about real rates and what's driving long real rates. There are a couple explanations that I'm focused on. One is I think there's great uncertainty about where the neutral rate is. And the longer the economy continues to exceed expectations on growth and resilience, I think people and markets are taking signal that the neutral rate may be higher. And then you've got the residual, or what we call the term premium. That a lot of things go into that. One possibility is fiscal deficits, larger deficits, all else equal, would tend to tick up the term premium. And so where does this...
And here's the thing. The term premium is going to come down because we're going to be pulling our deficit down. We're going to have strong GDP growth. And I think that you can do what Trump is talking about because, again, his team completely disagrees with everything that the Fed is saying. Everything that Kashkari, everything that Goolsbee, everything that Powell, they have a completely different thesis on what causes inflation. It's the Milton Friedman approach. They don't believe any of this. They think it's bullshit. And they think that what we're doing between lowering costs and government and then what we're going to do and then juicing this in order to be able to get it to where we can get growth is the right approach. So you're going to see a battle between the Fed and the Trump administration. It's going to be fascinating.
It's all shake out. We're going to get inflation back down. But then ultimately what the executive branch and Congress do on the fiscal side and ultimately what our growth trajectory is, are we in a period of higher productivity and higher investment? That would tend to push up long rates. And so how that nets out, we're just going to have to wait and see, but we're going to get inflation down.
Neil, I want to come back to the 35 questions I have over what you just said in a second.
I don't think the Fed was created by executive order. I wish it was. U.S. aid was, right? Which is why the president can literally do anything with it, because when you create something by executive order, you can abolish it and or reduce the spending of it with executive order. So, but I don't think the Fed was created in that way. I'll have to do some research. But I hope they have a way to lean on the Fed and provide some control over them, because I do think that eventually it just needs to be abolished, and maybe that ends up happening through Congress. We need to have central banks disappear. I know it sounds insane, but there's no reason why we can't just have free floating rates. And with meritocracy and capitalism, that's the most efficient way to manage an economy, is to let it manage itself, and then deal with the ramifications of what occur because of that. And the Fed just needs to go away. And I think I look forward to it.
But people right now at this moment are...
Again, guys, bottom right corner, Bitcoin's actually doing all right. It looks like it's getting above peak volumes going all the way back to November.
Trying to make sense of some enormous numbers that were just laid on
Congress.
Them.
Damn.
300,000 plus in December, revision up. 149, a touch below, but right around.
So again, with what Sean said, he said the Federal Reserve Act passed through Congress in 1913. So if we're going to do anything with it, we're going to have to do it by an act of Congress.
Census for the January numbers, huge revisions on the household side, big down revisions on the
we'll talk about
establishment side. How do you make sense of all this? Tell us where you think the job market is right now, since you have a mandate for low unemployment.
We can talk about Palantir too.
Yeah, I think of all the data that we just looked at, that you just mentioned, and I have to go through the details, I think the most important one is 4.0% unemployment rate. This is still a good labor market. It's not as hot as it was a year or two ago. And I validate this data by talking to businesses all around the region and around the country. And overall, the feedback that I'm getting is the economy is strong, businesses are optimistic, it's a cooler labor market than a year ago, but they're still having to work to find the workers that they need. And so I think
especially when we're deporting a lot of cheap labor.
The economy's in a good place. We want to keep it there.
Yes, that is one thing that can happen, Sean. Doge can audit the Fed. So we can apply pressure in some ways. Yes.
While getting inflation all the way back down to our target.
Neil, it's interesting you say what you said, because a wise person told me once that
central banks are supposed to be independent, but then there's this thing called the International Monetary Fund, and again, the World Economic Forum, where these really weird fucking people who are super rich and elite and fly in on their private jets and evidently get money from U.S. aid. I think World Economic Forum got like $60 million from U.S. aid. So we gave these rich fucks who have private jets who go into this place and say, guys, do we want people to eat bugs? Yeah, we do. Let's make that happen. Guys, do we want people to get vaccinated? Do we want to reduce the fertility rate? Yeah, we do. Let's do all this stuff. So it's pretty fucked up. It's pretty fucked up. And so, yeah, there's entities that could technically control the Fed, maybe, right? The International Monetary Fund being one of them. And then these elites in cloak and dagger being the others.
You can look at all the data you want on employment, and maybe the one thing you really need is the unemployment rate, and that tells you exactly what's going on. So that really dovetails nicely with that. And Neil, before Becky, I did it again.
Betsy.
I'm sorry.
We had a Betsy.
Wow.
We had a
sorry.
I heard about this.
I heard about it.
I heard about that. I wasn't here.
I used to call my car a Betsy.
Never mind. Before,
Oh, I want to hear about
But he
that.
also
Like
has
every
a
car
producer
I
named
ever owned.
Betsy.
and I was emailing her at the time. Now I gave myself a jinx. Okay, Becky, Joe, and Andrew, real quick. We had a weekend full of
I
drama,
love
Neil, when
Becky.
it came to tariffs. How did you spend? What were you thinking over the weekend about the impact of potential tariffs?
Rothschilds, yeah.
They're delayed now for 30 days. How does that affect your thinking about where policy can and should be?
It reinforces my view that we're in a good place. My colleagues and I basically have said we need to wait and see. We don't know enough information about what's going to be announced. We have a little more information now on that. We really don't have information about what will actually be implemented and how other countries are going to respond. And in that environment, we shouldn't guess. We should just wait and see. And then the good news is, as we just talked about, the economy's in a good place. So we're in a very good place to just sit here until we get a lot more information on the tariff front, on the immigration front, on the tax front, et cetera. All of those are going to be important.
So what's the next data point you're watching for? Or is it watching the headlines and kind of seeing how it all plays out?
Well, setting aside the...
I don't think any president has the control that Donald Trump has right now.
Potentially residual seasonality in the inflation data in the first quarter of the last couple of years, is that going to be repeated? Or if you look at the last 9 months of inflation data, it's very encouraging, but first quarter of 2024 was very hot.
Yeah, there's a lot
Is
of
that
history,
hot period going to be repeated, or is that going to roll off? If that rolls off and the recent inflation data continues, then we should see rapid disinflation in the numbers in the first half of this year. And so that, for me, is setting aside the policy questions. That, for me, is what's of paramount importance right now, the first few inflation prints that we get.
So can you cut, Neil, if you get that inflation down where it needs to be, even with the uncertainty over policy?
It's a good question. I think we'll have to see where, what that uncertainty looks like. What's the range of the negotiation that's taking place? And obviously tariffs are hard because it's not simply what we do in America, it's how other countries respond and the back and forth. And so I think the tariff one is particularly difficult. I think the other pieces, tax policy, maybe we'll have more clarity on what the outlook looks like on taxes and revenues and spending, and that may give us more comfort. Ultimately, our job is maximum employment and stable prices. And if we see very good data on the inflation front, while the labor market stays strong, then I think that would, for me, move me towards supporting easing further. I don't know why we'd have to keep rates where they were if we really saw inflation coming down quickly.
Neil, there are people who would complain.
I dig that. That's actually a decent response.
Fiscal policy under the Biden administration.
Market might like that. I'm seeing Bitcoin pop more.
Double standard here. Why are you holding your powder now with Trump about to do a bunch of fiscal policies? But
I don't actually hate Kashkari, and I'm very interested to see what he has to say about this.
Didn't really seem to react to when Biden passed these massive spending bills.
Well, it's a question of what's the underlying inflationary dynamics. Going into obviously the huge inflation surge, we had about 1.5% inflation for 5, 6, almost a decade. And the concern was, could we get inflation up to 2%? Then we were surprised we had this big inflation surge. Inflation is still above our target. It's running at around a 2.5% rate right now, and we need to get it all the way back down. So I think given the recent history And given everybody's and my belief in the paramount importance of keeping inflation expectations anchored, we have to finish the job. And so I do think our look at the fiscal policy is informed by our recent experience and where inflation has been running in the economy.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we had no idea inflation was coming, and God, that was crazy, all that spending, since we had no idea inflation was coming.
Oh, is Joe going to go off here? All that spending, we had no idea inflation was coming. All right, we got to hear this. This could be good. I'm going to go back 10 seconds. This could be really good.
Experience and where inflation has been running in the economy.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we had no idea inflation was coming, and God, that was crazy, all that spending, since we had no idea inflation was coming, we didn't know all that spending was going to cause it. And now you're saying, well, now, you know, fool me once, my fault. Now you know it can happen. I mean, things do have an effect right now. I mean, we can get, I mean, what are we still up? We're still up 30% in prices, are we not?
22.
Yeah, I mean, overall, the price level's up a lot, and that's why Americans are frustrated, and I share their frustration with that. But our job is to get inflation down, as you understand.
Maybe that's all.
And, you know, supply chains.
It just there
supply
are real
chains,
effects to what we do, and we forgot it for 40 years. It's like we thought we could do anything.
Yeah, it's the money printing. It's the fucking money printing. The money printing almost perfectly equated to the rate of inflation, or the rate of inflation, and then the new level that we're sitting at, because there's a difference between how much the price increased to and then what the rate of inflation is going forward. You don't want deflation. You don't want prices getting lower. That can create a downward spiral. If you watch anything from Ray Dalio, you can look that up, where you have a downward spiral from like a fourth turning type event. And you don't want that. You don't want prices to get much lower than they are. What you want to do is you want to have growth increase. You want to have less government spending. You want to make sure that our debts are controllable. And then you can catch up to the price increases that already happened. But you don't want a downward spiral. You don't want deflation. It is the worst possible thing for our fucking economy right now. So we should, if Trump is right, and we're going to see inflation coming down, especially with what's happening in China. I love that people like Jeff Lutz are starting to talk about that more and more right now, about how weak their economy is. I love that Bitcoin's up almost $99,000, guys. But yeah, there's a lot to fix. But if we're not doing crazy amounts of money printing in the near future, and then at the same time we've got a more balanced budget within our government, and we're doing all these things to pull in growth, again, $1 billion plus, we'll get all your approved regulatory stuff. We'll get you in lower tax environment. They're going to do all this stuff in Congress that's going to make America look great, and I think TLT will benefit greatly from that. Today, TLT is not doing too good because the 10-year moved up 1.2%, and so TLT is down 0.63%, and so it will hurt as people think that yields are going to go higher, and they think yields are going to go higher because bond vigilantes still think inflation is a concern. That will go away, okay? I do believe strongly that will go away, and then we'll see that change.
Well, I think we were surprised we had not seen the supply-driven inflation in a long time. And given all of the geopolitical uncertainties in the world, you know, could there be supply shocks that hit us again? It's certainly possible.
See, he's trying to blame this stuff on fucking supply shocks. That's bullshit. It was all the fucking money printing that caused that. It was locking people in their houses, printing shit tons of money and saying, go and spend it. And then they bought all this shit in China. And then you had massive increases in the cost of goods too, because of this influx of money and then this massive demand that was artificially created.
Certainly much more aware of that risk than I was 5 or 6 years ago. And so we shouldn't forget that.
Yeah. You know, give us your best guess of how policy shakes out this year. Do you think you end up the year lower than where you?
Yes, Gemini Knight says if the money is used to increase productivity, it's good for the economy. If the money is used in more productive ways that actually increase production to where you get more benefit than you put into the money printing, then yes, it's a net positive. We just haven't had a lot of that in a very long time because we've been just throwing money wherever the fuck we want. Evidently to transgender kids in Quebec or something, or fucking wherever, some terrorist state.
You started, and will inflation be coming down and hitting target this year, or is it next year?
You know, I think inflation on the underlying dynamics are coming down. We have a lot of confidence. Housing is still a big piece of the inflation. We have a lot of confidence looking at the new leases and how many, it takes a couple of years for that to roll through the actual inflation data. So that should be helping us bring inflation back down. Barring something really surprising on the tariff front, immigration front, or fiscal policy front, so taking off some extreme outcomes there, I think inflation will continue to come down over this year. So all things equal, I would expect the federal funds rate to be modestly lower this year, at the end of this year, relative to where we are right now. But of course, the data is going to drive that.
Oh, shut the fuck up. All right, we're done with him. Fuck him. All right, let me switch back here real quick and get to my other screen since I have to do that because of this ghetto ass method. Let me see. Up here? Is that it? Yeah, okay, good. So, again, Kashkari spewing nonsense, trying to make it sound like it was a supply shock that caused money or the price of goods to go up, but we know that's not true, right? Mustache says, but lowering spending won't bring inflation down. Yeah, lowering spending will lowering spending and balancing our budget will do all of those things. It will be amazing. It'll increase productivity. It'll increase GDP growth. And then at the same time, we won't have to worry about inflation fucking us. It's going to be wonderful. Sea-Dog says, Elon posted a talk he did with the Army. I saw that, emphasizing the importance of ramping up drone production. I think one of those talks was older, but I think that's older actually. But yeah, that's totally a thing. He did post something recently, though, that literally called out the military and said that what we're doing is fighting a war from years, we're fighting the last war, World War II. We're not fighting the next war. And so that's going to get fixed. U.S. Aid had 700,000 subscriptions to Disney. Aren't you guys glad that we were funding the woke shit on Disney? Yay. Elon Musk, wow. According to the Columbia Journalism, so 279 media sector civil society organizations in 30 different countries. These were like the NGOs, again. So 6,200 journalists, 707 news outlets, 279 media sector NGOs. Let's see if there's anything else in here. Elon's killed my senator's money laundering operation. I love Grok. Ridiculous that the government is actually spending your money. Yeah, so there's so much in here. There's a bunch of commentary. I don't know. I think we're pretty good on this part. There's a lot of waste that's been going on, and it needs to disappear completely, and it's going to. We got U.S. economic. We're at over 90,000 or 99,000 now, guys. That's a good signal for that. Tesla's still down 0.75%. We could see a bottom on Tesla. CleanSpark up 8% right now. Not hating that at all. It's about time we see CleanSpark do something. MicroStrategy up 2.31%. Yeah, the BlackRock piece. Let's go to that real quick, actually. Let's go to the Bitcoin piece. I don't want people to get disillusioned with Bitcoin. So whales are buying Bitcoin like never before seen. Something is coming big time. Look at the amount of buying, guys, by whales. This only goes back to 2022. I wish it was further. And I've got some of these. Maybe I can go back and find a better example of one of these. This is from CryptoQuant. I don't know if I have a membership there, but I'll check into it. But if this is a massive amount of buying by whales, and they're doing that for a reason. BlackRock is one of them. BlackRock bought 5%. Actually, let me just find that specific article because I think I have that right up here. BlackRock bought 5% or owns 5% of MicroStrategy. I think that says something. $11 trillion BlackRock just bought more MicroStrategy and now owns 5% of the company. They've been buying all the companies, all of them. All of them are getting purchased by these massive ETF providers. They're all, as everybody else, as retail has been selling, these guys have been buying. Just in legislation that allow the state of Utah to invest in Bitcoin passes the House. The bill goes on to the Senate. So this is as far as I know, the one in Utah right now is in the lead, which is amazing. Cynthia Loomis, again, guys, they're going to go after. This is funny because Elizabeth Warren always makes these comments about people being unbanked. Bitcoin's going to 100K, guys. If you look down in the bottom right corner, $100,000. But let's listen to Cynthia Loomis talk about Operation Choke Point 2.0, where the federal government tried to get rid of Bitcoin companies and anybody working in the crypto sector try to debank them and even debank them personally. And the CEO of Mara, Fred Thiel, spoke about this yesterday in Congress.
So these were federal regulators, unelected bureaucrats going after bank customers, choosing who could have a bank account, who couldn't, which businesses were going to have to go out of business because these little bank examiners didn't like the business. So we know the government was part of it. We need to find out further whether the banks themselves were part of it or whether the debanking was actually directed.
You know where it came from, guys. You know where it came from. It came from the government, just like the social media control. It's all the same shit. CleanSpark's actually up 8.7% right now. Oh, you're saying BlackRock owns 7.7% of CleanSpark. Yeah, dude, they're all getting bought up. All these companies, if you look at institutional ownership across all of these, they're just growing and growing and growing. If you look down at the pie over here, institutions, retail is making up a smaller and smaller allotment of all of this. I mean, Vanguard owns 11% of CleanSpark right now. And again, this number might be a little outdated. It's got BlackRock at 7%. It's probably 7.7 now. State Street, Geode Capital, Renaissance Technologies, Morgan Stanley, Sequoia, Citadel, these are not small investment firms that own these big blocks of these companies, guys. It's the real deal. The time is coming. Breaking, Iowa joins the race as state rep Taylor Collins introduces bill to invest public money into Bitcoin digital assets. Do you guys know of a link where it shows like the status? I know there was a site. I don't know who it is. Maybe it's just an X profile that keeps track of. It's like a tracker that keeps track of like where we're at for all these different bills. Maybe it's on Dennis Porter's site. I don't know. Cantor came out with a CleanSpark of target of $23. I know, right? And we're at 1130 right now, so that's a decent uptick. Peric Sheath, can we check if CleanSpark institutional ownership is increasing? Yeah, no, it is. It's hugely increasing. Yeah, it is. It's huge. All of these are massively increasing. Eric Balkunas says Trump is going to launch a Bitcoin Plus ETF. I actually think I have a chart that shows CleanSpark institutional ownership. I'll show it in a second. Trump is going to launch a Bitcoin Plus ETF. Safe to say, first ever POTUS ETF issuer. What a country! Oh yeah, and here's one of them. Is it Bitcoin Laws? Oh yeah, it's you guys. Okay, cool. Okay. So that's February 3rd. So yeah, these guys are kind of tracking some of this. I think Missouri Bitcoin Reserve Bill. So that's 17 hours ago. Oh yeah, so they're tracking it. So you can see. I don't know why some of this is changing. Oh, it's showing new ones that came in? Weird. So I'd like how to pause it right there. Okay, so it's a GIF. So we've got like half the country now, right now, guys, pushing forth Bitcoin bills. Pretty big deal. But yeah, so this tracker just keeps getting updated. So again, Utah, I think, made that next big move. I don't know if this actually shows it. Yeah, I think Utah, I don't know if they're here or if they're here now, but they're getting real close. So let's keep going down here. And again, here's Mara. Here's the CEO, Fred Thiel. He was testifying again yesterday on Capitol Hill talking about Operation Choke Point 2.0. We've got Eric Trump saying it feels like a good time to enter Bitcoin on 2.5. We've got the Czech president signed into a law removing the capital gains tax on Bitcoin after 3+ years of holding. I love this. I think that this should be something that we encourage here too, where we have like maybe after a year of holding or 2 years of holding, we have no capital gains tax on Bitcoin so that we encourage people to stack as much as possible. And I know, who was it? Lynn Alden was saying that this is probably better than a Bitcoin reserve. I agree, actually. I do agree. I think that's the better approach, but let's do both. And again, Elizabeth Warren talking about how debanking is a real problem, but then they were actually working to actively do that while they were talking about it. Bitcoin holds strong above 98K whale accumulation, exchange withdrawals, a weakening dollar, and $40 billion in ETF inflows set the stage for more upside. This is a bull flag. I agree with that. And British Hodl said the FDIC just announced that it will revise crypto guidance to assist banks to partake in the growth of Bitcoin. Things are moving very fast on the regulatory and oversight front. Starts there, then comes the reflection in price. Yes, I agree. Again, FDIC plans to revise guidelines allowing banks to invest, to engage in Bitcoin and crypto adoption. The debanking is over. We control the vast majority of the hash rate for Bitcoin in the world, and that's a good thing. And again, I showed this one before about Hong Kong. Legislator Johnny Ng says Hong Kong needs to accelerate the study of strategic Bitcoin reserve. So you're seeing a lot of really fast moving stuff going on right now. Let's go over to CleanSpark real quick. 99.6 and climbing, guys. So real quickly here. Oh, this is good. This is just showing the revenue. We'll skip that though. Lucas saying CleanSpark looking good. Rex saying it looks good. CleanSpark data. I don't know if we have institutional ownership. I thought I had it in here, but maybe I don't have it in my bookmarks. Let me just check and see if I do. I might have it under another one. Maybe it's Mara. But it's good. It's growing like crazy. Let me see if it is Mara. Oh, you know what? It might be MicroStrategy. Let's just look. 99.7 fastly approaching, guys. Yes, Utah is coming. Nice way to spell coming. Vanguard has nearly 9.5% of Riot. Yeah, dude, they've been buying up all of these. All of them. And yes, Michael Saylor was spotted in Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago. So guys, when you have Eric Trump telling you it's a good time to own Bitcoin, when you have Trump creating his own Bitcoin and crypto ETFs, when you have them buying Ethereum, when you have them buying a bunch of everything, when you have Michael Saylor hanging out in Mar-a-Lago, when you have Cynthia Loomis, when you have half the country looking to create Bitcoin, not Bitcoin ETFs, Bitcoin strategic reserves, when you have just everything that's happening right now, again, FDIC allowing banks to be able to custody all this stuff. If you think that Bitcoin is going to fail, you're just not paying attention to the reality of what's coming. You should have high levels of confidence right now, not weak ones. And again, the strategy B, I love it's not MicroStrategy anymore. It's strategy B. They've outperformed all other assets dramatically over time. I think that means something. I like the rebranding. I think it was a smart thing to do. I love their website. I don't know if there's much else to talk about. I love the changes that they made with the website where they show all of their financial and metrics for Bitcoin. We're at 99.8 almost now, guys. So the market is definitely liking what happened, at least in regard to Bitcoin. CleanSpark is up 10% in pre-market. Who in here? Tell me in the chat, guys. Is anybody happy to see CleanSpark finally up, bucking double digits for percentages? Isn't it overdue to see some of these miners really outperforming? I feel like it is. Could the ETH network for USG visibility? I mean, ETH is kind of shit, but it doesn't matter. Whatever. Donald Trump's still in his first stage of understanding Bitcoin, so he's in shitcoin land. Trump coin's up 6% today and looking like it's finally established its bottom. I'm loving that. But he's in shitcoin land. He'll get there. Next cycle, he'll be there. But again, I think there's a very strong possibility that we still have a Bitcoin strategic reserve and it'll go through Congress because you want to do it the right way. If we did it through an executive order, then the next administration, if it was not a Republican one, could just make it go away that same way. And so we don't want that, right? Yes, been down on CleanSpark for months. Yeah, that sucks, bro. It is what it is, but you get used to it. So again, we got more economic data coming out at 9. Do we have any 8 stuff? We got Fed Bowman talking at 8:25. We got Turkey, Russia, blah, whatever. Yeah, so 9 o'clock is the next big round of data. We're over 99.8 right now. I think we're going to be hitting 100K soon, guys. 27.7% shorts getting hurt on CleanSpark. The short interest. So we might have real quickly here, guys, a crazy uptick. Let's just pull this up here. We'll put it on the big screen with CleanSpark. So we're looking to butcher the shorts. Again, this is a bullish pennant. It's an ugly looking thing because the pennant is just massive in scale. I don't even know how you would count this. I mean, technically the measured move might be something like that, but that's retarded. So we're gonna make it really the short version of the pennant, and then we'll change its color. But essentially, what it says that can happen is retarded. What it says that can happen on this is a lot, right? It's a lot. So will this happen? I don't know. Again, I'm probably out at the .618 at the 40 level, especially out of my options, just completely out. But the 10% that we're up could be monumental, and it might just be a sign of things to come for what shorts are going to experience, because they're going to have a lot of pain in the not too distant future. And we like that. We like to see shorts get fucked. Stefan. Hey, what's up, buddy? Stefan? Jesse, have insiders been buying more CleanSpark? I don't know. We could probably take a look at that. I could look at the NASDAQ thingy for that. NASDAQ. CLSK. I think I got another source that's kind of helpful for this too. Oh, wait, what? Oh, I spelled it wrong. CleanSpark. Let's see, insider activity. If anybody's got a better place for this, let me know. 1220 or 1227.24 automatic sell. So somebody just had a sell order in place, very small amount. No buying at all, but also not really much in the way of activity. Zach Bradford. So 1220 was the last time anybody sold. So it's been a month and a half since anybody sold anything on this. Earnings cup and handle pattern for CleanSpark has the same target. Yeah, it does, right? Either way you look at it, it essentially gets us up. Well, I mean, if you conservatively, it gets us up to the 40 range. Less conservatively, it gets us a lot higher. And I honestly, guys, like, I don't know. We could 10x. This bitch could 10x. That would put it at $30 billion valuation. If Bitcoin really, really moves, like, I mean, above 250,000 plus, 10x is going to seem very doable. How much does CleanSpark need to go up to squeeze? Oh, it's going to squeeze today. It'll squeeze today. There's going to be, and if Bitcoin starts rising too, it will just compound on the squeeze. But it's up a little less than 10% right now, which is still a good number. I'm going to move this over here and just get it out of my screen. So people were asking about Tesla and a few others. I'll pull those up real quick too, and then we'll look at more news-related events. I just want CleanSpark to go to 26. Yeah. Roman, you guys are getting all conservative because you've just been beat up so badly. I get it. I don't have any of these under their actual chart. That sucks. One sec. Let me just update this. All right. So we did drop lower, and we actually dropped right where I wanted us to. I mean, it's kind of hard to see here because I didn't have this quite right, but essentially that's where I wanted us to start to bounce on Tesla. So could this be the moment that Tesla bounces? Yes. Does it have to be? No, it could actually go a little bit lower too. But we'll just say that this is the point where it bounces and redraw. I don't even know if I like this line. Let's see here. I might need to do this a little bit differently here. Do I want to have it over there? Maybe. I mean, that might be the most accurate for the next measured move. There. Yeah, that's probably pretty good. So, yeah, that could be the bounce zone. We're down a little bit in pre-market. But again, I think Tesla, there could be a negative narrative that pulls us lower. We just did 100K on Bitcoin, guys. 100K. Loving it. So Tesla could go lower, but I do think that like 355 to the 340s, where you get a lot of volume under here, is going to be a strong support area. It doesn't have to go lower, though. It did what I wanted it to do. And if you look here, like, how far are we down from the recent high? Let's just look. So we're down still 24%. Big drop. So not exactly what you want if you own Tesla, but I don't care. I'll just end up leveraging up more if we do go lower. I might actually end up selling some Tesla stock and buying more calls today. We'll see. All right. Yeah, almost 100K. That's just beautiful. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop is fucking right. What else did you guys? Somebody wanted to look at something else? You know what? Real quick, I'm going to jump through a few more news-related articles. So we got through MicroStrategy. We got through Bitcoin. Let's jump to Tesla real quick. Well, let's do U.S. economy. We'll get to some more Trump stuff in a little bit. We got to switch it up a little bit. Fibonacci said they say don't fight the Fed. Well, I say don't fight the Trump. Long TLT. I 100% agree. So this says summary by Bloomberg AI. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the Trump administration's focus is on bringing down 10-year Treasury yields, not the Federal Reserve's benchmark short-term interest rate. Do not short Scott Bessent or Donald Trump. Kobayashi letter said the lower gas prices are coming. Since Inauguration Day, oil prices have fallen in a straight line lower, now down over 10% from their high. And that is true. Now, oil's getting a little bit of a reprieve today, but let's just look at it real quick here. So, yeah, I'd say that was a pretty precipitous drop, wouldn't you? And let me switch this. I don't have this. Evidently, the way I pulled these up, I didn't get them on their templates. So I'll fix this. Can I get your opinion on Amazon? Yeah, I can pull it up. I don't really care about Amazon. I don't care about Amazon. I don't care about ELF. I don't care about any of that shit because it's not asymmetric. But I can look it up for you if that makes you happy. And so again, we said, hey, this is going to get rejected. We can go back years here and see this, right? We can go to 2022. This is going to get rejected. It got up to the 200 moving average on the weekly. It got rejected hard. I still think we're heading, I got to bring this down because we're getting closer to my targets. I still think another 5-6% drop, getting us into the 60s is appropriate before we start to find any kind of real support over the short term. So oil's just going to get more interesting by the second. Amazon, we can look at Amazon. But again, I just don't give a shit about it because it's not asymmetric and it's done well. So if anything, I'd look at this as like a short, not as a long opportunity, especially if there's war or anything like that. And also too, guys, the monthly time frame here, let's just look at this real quick. So let's just look at this. So the monthly time frame, again, we kind of broke out of this a little bit. It's probably a good sign. Let's go to the weekly just to see how accurate this is. So not quite the same, but we haven't broke out from the weekly. So we still have like this bearish divergence on this, on Amazon that goes back to the pandemic. So we have this bearish divergence where the RSI is dropping lower since the pandemic. Now the MACD looks a little less crazy, but I don't know. I just don't think Amazon, the Chinese economy is getting so weak. I don't know what happens with Amazon. I really don't over the short term. I don't know. But I don't love it. I don't love it in any way. And again, we already got over the .618. It could climb up to maybe the 257 level. But they're lowering their guidance. It's a $2.51 trillion market cap. So do you think it's going to double? No. This is a steady Eddie. I don't know. I think Amazon was a much better buy in 2022 when it was $81 than now at $232. You know what I mean? So if it did something like that again, then I'd be interested in it. Mara earnings are on 226. Yes, they've got a ways. We got a bunch of miners that are going to be spread out later into the month, guys. So that should be interesting. So much coffee and excitement. Good morning, fam. Show under the weather, Jesse, some love and hit the like. Yeah, please. I'm definitely under the weather. Daniel Dibb, Mara earnings are going to be interesting. Oh, dude, they're going to be fucking insane. I think they'll dwarf CleanSpark. They'll dwarf CleanSpark. So just to give you guys a perspective here. So CleanSpark for Bitcoin holdings, let's just pull those up real quick, if it'll come up. I don't know why it's being weird. Did it time out or something? Let me go over here. Oh, it did come up. Let me pull it back up. So CleanSpark. Let me just go over here to key charts. So CleanSpark's Bitcoin holdings in just Bitcoin, it says 99.52. Now we know it's higher, right? I think this number still needs to update. I don't know. Because I'm pretty sure it's higher than that. But let's look at what the Bitcoin holdings are for Mara. Let's look at Mara. So Mara's Bitcoin holdings, let's just pull those up, are 27,000-ish. I don't know. They might be higher too. So you got almost 3x the Bitcoin holdings with these guys. And so I would expect a revenue generation that is just like through the fucking roof. It's going to be a lot higher than CleanSpark's, I believe. We'll see what happens, but I believe it's going to be higher. Bitcoin down. No! Bitcoin's down to levels not seen in minutes. Fuck. What are we going to do? CleanSpark's up almost 12% right now. Lag? Oh, is there lag on my stream? Tell me there isn't lag on my stream, guys. Fuck. Are you shitting me? Oh, it's my fuck. Fuck. So I don't have my VPN up. There was residue from my VPN that I was able to get rid of because my conversion didn't work. But my stream's current bit rate is higher from me fucking around. It's back. Shit. So we might end up ending this stream early because I have to change the bit rate. Is it good right now? Yeah, so if it gets bad again, guys, I'm just going to have to bail and fix the bit rate on it. I thought I was good because I did testing and I didn't see a problem. So if it happens again and it gets unbearable, let me know. And I've just got to tweak some settings. No lag, it's fine. CleanSpark's up 12%. I know, dude, it's sick. So James E. Thorne from Canada, he's a good dude. He said Besant is basically implying that the Fed not receiving enough video. I'm getting that fucking error again. It's probably gonna fuck. Besant is implying that the Fed is an institution that is no longer objective. Besant is smart to focus only on the credit markets and let the progressive left, our Fed, live in its alternate universe by itself. Pete is fine. It's good. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, ding, ding, ding. Well, I can't easily ding, ding, ding. Let me pause here real quick because I've got to switch fucking sessions. This sucks. 1 second here. We're going to switch screens so we can get the ding, ding, ding. There we go.
Some Super Bowl marketing, as I think the going rate for 30 seconds is almost $8 million, right? Pretty much in line with last year.
OpenAI is going to have no trouble now. They're raising all this money from Masa, as we report. They're going to advertise too.
Let's get the opening bell on the CNBC Real-Time Exchange. And the big board, it's cement maker Titan America celebrating an IPO today. CEO Bill Zarkalis will be on the exchange later on. At the NASDAQ, it's good projects helping families in Washington, D.C.'s.
All right, so we'll mute that, and now I got to click on this and go back over here. 30% for CleanSpark. Let's go. 30%. What do you mean? 14.55. Shit, guys. CleanSpark is running like a banshee. It's just like, fuck your puts right now. How do I get back to this thing? I'm trying to find where I'm at here with the watch list. Shit. Brave browser. Let me just get into here. I'll go to US Oil because maybe I can track that better. Let me get this on here. 1 second, guys. Sorry, it's really hard to switch between these screens. There, is that it? Fuck no, that's not it. Live streaming YouTube. Fuck, I'll have this fixed for next time. I'm sorry, it sucks right now. Is this the right one? No, if it's not. Fuck. Let me go to Tesla here. Maybe I can just get Tesla to... TLT... Where is it now? OBS. Ah, motherfucker. Crypto bubbles. Let me see. If I pull up this... This really sucks. It's not showing my shit. Motherfucker. Oh... All right, so I'll have this fixed for next time, guys. I do apologize, but I'm just got some technical issues I'm having to work through. CNBC watch stream, that's not what I want. My Brave windows, for some reason, it's not showing the one that I need. Which is bullshit. Let me see if I switch from window capture, display capture. No, that won't work. Let me go. I'm going to try something real quick. It's going to get weird. Ally, there we go. Got it. Okay. Sorry. I'll have this fixed for next time, but it looks like I got it back now. So, CleanSpark is up 20 fucking %, guys. Holy shit. Holy shit. This is what we call a short squeeze. This is what we call a short squeeze. So there's guys hurting today. Let's jump back over here and see what we got. Wow, guys. Wow, this is beautiful. So TLT might be taking a little bit of a hit, but you know what's not taking a hit? You know what's not taking a hit? CleanSpark, MSTX up 10%, Iron up 8%, Cypher up 8.5%, BitDeer, all these things. Here's the thing, Mara is going to do really well. It's only up 6%, but I think Mara is going to really benefit on their earnings because of the FASB accounting rules. So this is awesome, guys. This is really good stuff. Wow. So 18% and hovering. This is not a bad area to be in. This is such a beautiful bounce. This is such a beautiful, gorgeous fucking bounce. We're above peak volumes here. We got a little bit, about 1488 is when we really start to hit it again. We got the 50 moving average on the weekly too up here. Let's look at the daily. That'll get us to about 1330. So 1330 is probably our shelf and our ceiling right now. But this is some beautiful price action, guys. This is some beautiful price action. We're sitting above, I got to fix this chart. We're sitting above peak volumes here in red. This is right where you want to be. This is right where you want to be over the short term. This is a good level. So I don't know where we'll all meander to, but this is very positive. Bitcoin's only at 99.5. So if Bitcoin starts to really get a bounce at any point, you could see miners just get stupid. But again, it's going to be one of those things where we'll fight for a little while, but I could see the 15s not taking too long to come back. And once we get up, like guys, once we get up to this red descending line here, and we're getting near the 16 range, once that ends up happening and we get above this breakout above this pennant, then it's going to be on like Donkey Kong. Holy shit, boys, let's go. I'm actually going to be able to buy my first house. Love you guys so much. Oh, that's awesome, dude. Glad to hear it, Christopher. Dario, do you still have your Hood leaps? I do have Hood. I don't know if I have leaps. No, I don't have leaps. I just have stock. I do have leaps. Like I have one of my old ones in here. It shows it's up 584%, but I made like 1600% off of Hood. I only made 600% off of Palantir. So people that got 2000, if they bought the exact bottom, are doing better than me. But I'm still beating a lot of people that I think had bought Palantir with the 600% gains that I had on that one. Because a lot of them haven't been there for the full ride. It's very few people that have been. Rotating CleanSpark calls to stocks soon? Not soon. No, not soon. I will do it, but I will do it probably when we're in the 20s. I'll start doing it around there, and then I'll do it more when we hit the 30 range, and I'll do it probably be completely out of options at 40. So, yeah, but this is good. Herd reports next week. Yeah, let's look at earnings real quick. Let's see. I got visual stock. We got here too. I don't know if this is my main account with Earnings Hub. I'm not even sure. Let's do this though. Let's go to this one. Let's go to our good old faithful visual stocks because I can flip here to favorites. And then we can look at the month. I probably need to update this, but yeah, Hood is next Wednesday, along with Hut 8, Iris, and then we have Coinbase the next day, Flux. I don't care what happens with that. D-Local, guys. D-Local has been doing good. How are my options on that one? They're still down a lot. That's weird, actually. Because DLO, I've looked at the stock. I actually think that's coming back. And my options are way out of the money. Maybe that's the reason why it hasn't done super well. I'm just going to check something real quick. So we're still up almost 16% on CleanSpark. I'd say that that's definitely in short squeeze territory, but I think 2 days in a row of a lot of pain would be awesome. So yeah, DLO, again, we're doing exactly what I said we were going to do. If I look here, just getting back up to this 24 range, but the options haven't really went up with that, but I think they will eventually. Once we start to get closer to target, they'll start to benefit. So I'm glad I still held on to those. I think that's going to be all right. Your options may be broken. I don't know if the options are broken. Is it up today? Let me just refresh. 8:38. The options are weird too in the mornings. Again, they don't show everything right away. But before today, they were down 64%. So that's a shitty number. Oh, I'll have to fix this over here off screen. Whatever, we can do that later. All right, let's keep going through news. So U.S. economy, retail investors have built their largest equity allocation in history, surpassing the dot-com bubble. Probably fine. Might be a problem. That's why I own TLT. That's my insurance package. TLT down today, though, 0.5% down today. But that's okay. Naval says we're in the second American Revolution. I agree with him. Micro to macro, he's a pretty smart guy. He says, it's hard to know for sure, but my thought is that the government is willing to endure short-term pain for long-term gains. Oh, this is off a Luca post, I think. Luca put that the Federal Reserve's reverse repo is drying up, and so we're going to print a bunch of money, right? I don't know what the Fed's going to do, but I do know that Donald Trump and Scott Bessent are willing to endure shit tons of pain. What was it for the stats? For visual stocks? Here, real quickly. That's my buddy Alejandro's website. That's what I use for a lot of my earnings related stats. But yeah, so I said I think Trump's willing to endure short-term pain. He's willing to hike up tariffs to a huge amount, and in order to be able to have long-term gains. And so Doge, I said, Doge is making TLT look very attractive. Because between tariffs and Doge, I could see people trying to lock in rates over long-term bonds once they realize that, hey, we're actually probably on the right track. And again, I think a Plaza Accord is coming. I'm going to stick with that. Appreciate your answer. I agree. Though lately I sold all of my TLT to buy the crash a few days ago. I look forward to buyback in a few weeks. Yeah, he could be right. That might not be a bad take. Luca and I were fighting a while ago, but we're friends again. So there you go. Boom. James E. Thorne, I told you, it's spelled out, been talking about this. Crypto czar David Sachs sees stablecoins creating trillions in demand for treasuries. Now, it's a little muddy on how all that works. I'll try and spell that out a little bit better later. Buy TLT today? Yes, if you don't have any, today is that good day to do it. So I was telling people you might not want to buy TLT right away because you'll want to see a retrace first before you jump in. So we're close. We still have a gap on TLT. So let me show you. So we could still go lower. Is this the daily? Yeah, this is the daily. We have a gap on TLT that goes down to 88.50. I could see TLT even dropping down to that range and then going higher. It doesn't have to though, because we have a gap over here too, and I don't know if we're ever going to see it again. So I don't know. It just all depends. It all depends. So, but I do think TLT is very attractive as a longer term play. Are you heavier on TLT 100 or 110? Good question. I think I have pretty equal portions on both for different reasons, right? Like I want one to be a little more aggressive and one to be a little less aggressive. So it's just kind of a way to diversify in TLT. And let me see here real quick. I'll pump this over. Let me just make sure that it's clear. It's not showing any crazy shit. Okay, there we go. So TLT, and this hasn't updated yet because of all my options contracts. It doesn't usually update until about 9 or 9:30. We do have more economic data coming out in 19 minutes, guys. So yeah, I've got looks like more in 110 than 100. So still looking all right. And the options are still going up. That's fascinating. So even today, even though TLT is down, people are starting to bet on the future of it. That's kind of cool. Yeah, so let's keep rolling along here. I do want to jump into the Trump stuff because there is a lot to talk about there. So we're starting to get closer to 100K again, guys. And I don't know what we're sitting on with CleanSpark. We're up 17%. I'm actually probably going to replace Bitcoin with CleanSpark right now, just to show that in the bottom right corner. Let me see how it looks real quick. But it's a nice day to have that up. So my contract should update here shortly too. I guess I could, you know what, I'll do this. I'll put, I'll leave it there. Let's go back over and get through the Trump related news. SMCI is up 6%. Congrats. Any reason why TLT over TMF? It's a more calculated play because I'm doing options. I believe I know the strikes really well. So I'm trying to basically do as good as I can. One sec here. What is this? Let me see what this is. We're talking about U.S. energy. I want to see who we're talking to. Let me close the caption on it. Power costs and production in the U.S. Exclusive interview with Energy Secretary Wright. Shit, I kind of want to see that. This will be a good time, actually, for me to... Let's do this. We're going to switch to this interview super fast. Sorry, it's so ghetto. CleanSpark contracts are up 33% today. Fucking sick, bro. Loving it. Time to make some money. Get that 6-figure money. Woo woo. All right, so I'm going to go real quickly, guys, into Chrome. This will give me an opportunity to use the boys' room. And so let me see. Is my full screen still working? Yeah, it is. Okay. So let me clean this up. I'm going to go back a little bit here because I want to see what this guy has to say. If I miss anything, let me know, guys.
Hide, though, here. Estee Lauder obviously has been a poor performer for a long period of time, in part largely on China weakness for some time.
And Asia travel, management changes.
But this had been one of the seeming beneficiaries for some period of time, at least in terms of their market share loss, hadn't it, or no?
Yes, because it was really working and viral and lower price points. And actually, I will say, Tariq Amin, the CEO, did talk about the tariff situation on the call, and he said, look, last time around, if we have to raise prices by $1 or $2, we still do well and we still compete, which has been some of what we've heard from the likes of other low-cost producers. It's 10% across the board, so everybody gets hit.
Speaking of that, let's get to Washington, where Brian Sullivan has a special guest for us this morning. Hey, Sully.
Hey, Carl, thank you, and good morning. Yes, we are here in a CNBC exclusive with the new Secretary of Energy, that is Chris Wright. He's the former CEO of Liberty Energy Services, the founder as well, former board member of nuclear company Oklo, and we appreciate you giving us this exclusive, Mr. Secretary. Thank you very much.
Brian, thrilled to be here with you.
All right, we're going to talk about oil, we're going to talk about tariffs, talk about nuclear, talk about all that stuff, but I've got to talk about what everybody's talking about here in D.C., which is this cost-cutting brigade, this Doge group. There was reports out that there was 23-year-olds poking around computer systems here. Nobody seems to know what's going on. Can you give us, on the record, clarity about who these people are and exactly what they're doing in computer systems? Because literally, I want to talk about what matters, but this is all anybody else seems to be talking about.
Yeah, well, let's address that. Look, I'm excited about that. Look, the government is old and maybe a little bit stodgy, and we've got some young kids. Think young gun management consultants coming in to take a critical look at how things are run. Can we do things a little bit more efficiently? Are our systems as efficient as they should be? I've heard these rumors, they're like seeing our nuclear secrets or all that. None of that is true at all. They don't have security clearances.
What is true? Who are these people and what are they doing?
They're part of a
I'm sorry, did you just say CleanSpark calls are up 44% today? Yes, it's about time, right? Let's get a few more days like that.
Team assembled by Doge, friends in Elon's broader circle that are very good at IT and very good at systems. And they're just doing a critical evaluation of how do we do things today and come up with some ideas about maybe how we could do things better.
We know who they are. You said they have badges.
Absolutely.
They're in the systems. They're not random people on the internet that are I want to be clear on who these people are, because there is a fear like they have my social security number. They might have access to the codes, as you said.
They don't have anybody's proprietary information, but I know exactly who they are. We have 3 people in our building, run through, checked by our security.
Jamie, it'll be
access
crazy.
To look around, talk to people, and give us some good feedback on how things are going. I think nothing to be worried about here.
Okay.
Thank you,
We'll move on from that, get to the topical issues, price of oil. The president says, drill, baby, drill. You're a guy that ran a fracking company. How do we balance out bringing down the price of gasoline, adding to U.S. production, but yet not destroying the oil and gas investments as well that the CNBC audience talks about and looks at every day?
Yeah, of course, it's a business, and prices are dictated by supply and demand. But we've had 4 years of an administration that's done everything it could to raise the cost to produce a barrel of oil. We're not sure if you can get a permit, to drill here, or it's going to take 18 months. You've got uncertainty. You've got to build pipelines or gathering lines to move that product to market. Well, we're not sure if you can do that. You got to do another study, another this. So when you add the cost,
energy's going to get lower, guys.
The economics.
So many good things happening.
A more efficient operating environment.
Random kids from the internet.
We're going to see some efficiencies from scale, some efficiencies from certainty, and more credible capital markets.
Hey guys, I just want to be clear. Big Balls is not a random kid from the internet. And watching that on CNN, I watched an interview on CNN talking about Big Balls and his impact on the U.S. government. And I got to say, I've never felt more like I'm in the fucking Matrix than listening to CNN talk about big balls on national television.
We've tried to starve the oil and gas industry globally, somehow thinking that's going to help climate change. There's been a lot of nonsense. And I think the agenda of this administration, this president, is to bring back common sense.
Can we have lower oil and gas prices and still have stocks that are not much lower than they are right now?
Oh, absolutely. If you lower the cost of operations, there's a lot of fat in the cost of operations. If you lower the cost of operations, that's going to flow through to lower prices, but not necessarily lower profits.
And that margin, you think, can remain steady and thus hold up, because you are the CEO of a publicly, or were, of a publicly traded company, and on the board, which you have now left, of another publicly traded company.
Absolutely. And look, it's capitalism and businesses driven by profit motives that have driven innovation, that have driven efficiency, and driven improvements in our system. And that's exactly what we want going forward in nuclear, in natural gas, in oil, in geothermal, whatever it is.
Sarah and David and Carl, right before we came to this interview, talking about tariffs and the impact they were showing. Elf Beauty, stock down 25%. We know there's a pause on the potential Canada tariffs. 4.4 million barrels a day we bring in from Canada on average. Much of that going to where you're from, the Rocky Mountain, the Denver area, the upper Midwest. What is your view on potential 10% tariffs? What, if it does happen, what is going to happen to U.S. oil and gasoline prices?
Well, look, obviously the Canadian energy system is built integrated with the United States energy system.
That's probably right, Al.
Pipelines come to U.S. refineries that are tuned to refine that heavier, more viscous crude that Canada produces. I don't think we're going to see that change. As the president has said, this is a drug war. This is about concerns and security at our border. This is to get everyone's attention and focus on how can we reduce criminals and fentanyl and drugs that are a threat to American security coming at our borders. I think things are moving in a productive direction.
So you don't, it doesn't sound like you think that tariffs
It's a good morning, Chris.
I don't know what the future will bring there, but I know we've got very productive dialogues right now, and we're going to see a reduction in criminal activity coming across our borders.
I'm sure you have many friends in Canada, as do I, and you know they're angry about this. They're saying, well, you know what? If they want to tariff our oil, let's just ship it to Vancouver, and we're going to sell it overseas. I would call that the nuclear option. Do you see anything like that occurring if the tariffs were to occur, Mr. Secretary?
It's hard to build new pipeline capacity. Canada does have a West Coast pipeline, which is running today and exporting oil to Asia, but that's 10% or less than 10% of Canadian oil production. Yeah. But look, this president is aggressive. He doesn't like the status quo. He wants to change things and improve things. We had a lot of noise and sound and fury last time he was president about tariffs and inflation. Inflation averaged less than 2% in the 4 years he was president.
Yeah, don't worry about inflation.
His agenda is to lower prices and better American lives. I don't see any reason to believe that's not going to happen.
You mentioned climate about a couple of minutes ago. Coming into this administration, one of the big question marks
is they're so much better,
what is going to happen to the loans and the grants and the IRA, Inflation Reduction Act monies that may be already committed to wind, to solar. This matters to CNBC's audience, the stock market. A lot of these companies have seen their share price decline by a lot. What is your view on the Inflation Reduction Act and wind and solar projects and the monies that are required to produce them?
So look, I'm in this chair 3 days now. One of the things we are doing is looking at all the projects that are out there. Where are the commitments? Where are the uncommitted funds? What's the best use to grow the supply of affordable, reliable, secure American energy? Tremendous opportunities there. So there's upside here as well. But one thing I will say, Brian, that we will not do is follow the German model. And I think the last administration wanted to go down that road. Germany spent $500 billion, made their electricity 2 to 3 times more expensive, and they produce 20% less electricity today than they did 15 years ago. We're not going to go down that road. We want affordable, reliable, secure energy and reindustrialization of America, not deindustrialization of America.
Well, it's something that I've obviously personally reported on many times for CNBC, been over there, seen what's happened. So just to be clear, because let's be honest, a lot of Wall Street makes a lot of money investing in wind and solar and even nuclear. You were on the board of a nuclear company. So final question, should we say that it's possible big wind and solar projects are still going to be okay they're not going to be starved of funds under this administration. What's the money situation regarding some of these renewable wind and solar and nuclear?
Real quick, just to answer a question that somebody had in regard to the calls. If you're using Ally or some exchanges, you will not see the CleanSpark numbers look updated to reflect reality. I mean, mine are starting to do it right now. It usually takes till about 9 o'clock before they start reflecting today's current reality. Now, these calls are still down a lot. It says they're down 63% right now for the ones I own, and I've got $300,000 in them. But if we start ticking up towards the way I think we can, that number will be green very, very quickly. And I will have, $500,000 to $600,000 in calls in a very short period of time between calls and stocks for CleanSpark. So it'll be a real good place. But sometimes they don't update right away. That's the thing you got to realize.
Nuclear type energy programs.
Look, I think you're going to see continued development.
I think CleanSpark is going to go to 40. So that's a lot higher than we are today at 1166.
In the United States of all of these energy sources. But obviously a flow of funds from this administration is all going to be about not what the energy technology is, but will it
40.
increase the supply of affordable, reliable, secure energy? Will it better the lives of American consumers and encourage businesses to build things in America?
Well, finally, on building
40.
things, the first nuclear plant in the United States just opened up last year in Georgia. Took about 20 plus years to build, way over budget. You're a nuclear guy. You're on the board of Oklo. You're not. You resigned that seat. What is the future of nuclear in the United States? Some say it's the future. Others say way too doggone expensive up front. Doesn't pay off.
I think the future is very bright, very bright. It's an energy-dense technology that gives reliable energy at all times with a small amount of land and a small amount of materials. Do we need innovation? Do we need some government out of the way to make it work economically? Absolutely. But that's what America's about.
Exclusive interview with the new Secretary of Energy on day 3, Christopher Wright. Thank you very much for your time here in Washington, D.C. We appreciate it. Carl, back to you.
Brian, great stuff. Thank you. Brian Sullivan down in...
This is great. It's just good. It's good, guys, to see the entire team. Somebody said this earlier. I don't know who it was. Look at this team under Trump, and then screen is zoomed in. Oh, just give me a second. I got to fix it. Just give me a second. It's weird right now, guys. I don't know if it was zoomed in your video, but let me just adjust something. I have a problem where I've got to figure out why Brave isn't allowing me to be able to view. Here we go. All right, to view CNBC's content. I think it's DRM protected, and they probably got like some IP address type shit going on. So it's just another thing I have to fix on top of all this other stuff. Has the stream been okay though? The vast majority of you guys, have you been able to see okay? I want to make sure that we're not having the same kind of technical snafus we were having during the MicroStrategy call, because I think I'm fixing it, but I want to make sure that it's actually getting better. Ignore like the video part and how well that was showing. That'll get better. The stream has been good. Yeah, fine. Okay. I might adjust a few other settings, but that's good to hear. It says the current bitrate is higher than what is recommended for the resolution that I'm doing for the 1440. So I might have to tweak some of that and bring it down a little bit, but okay, I'm glad to hear it's stable. CleanSpark calls up 44%, guys. 44%. That is a huge number. That is a huge number. I might, real quickly though, I'm just going to move this screen. I'm going to dump all of my CleanSpark stock, and I'm going to buy all calls that, even though they're up 40%. How fucking insane is that? That's how fucking crazy we're getting today, guys. That's how crazy we getting. So we're going to go balls to the walls, because I don't even care. I don't even care. I just want in. I want in. All right, so let's say like 1,000 calls at 0.70. Let's see if I can get to... Wow, is this a massive move? Yeah, it's a biggie. It's a biggie. Oh, I can only buy 500 contracts at a time. I keep forgetting these rules. All these rules. One sec here. Let me do this again. I just got to get these in place, guys. So fuck it. I guess we're throwing another $70,000 into CleanSpark calls just cause, right? Why not? Fuck it. I don't care. I got my hedge now, man. I'm pretty fearless. Plus, I'm probably under 5 million right now for my balance, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. I'm very confident in my play. But yeah, so anyway, let's look over here. Economic data. So we got about 1 minute. I'm going to pop this up, guys, and we're going to sit there while I'm closing out these trades. What percent of my portfolio? Oh, for CleanSpark? It's 9-10% or some shit. I don't know. Something like that. Something like that. I'll update all that stuff. I'll try and do it tomorrow. I know I've been shit about it. It's probably not going to look great over the short term, but whatevs. I don't care. Oh. All right. Let me see here. Partially completed. Oh, so I got to kill this other one. All right, so we're waiting on that economic data. We'll see what happens when that comes out. I need to update this other one because I want to get this filled. Let's see, 72. Jesse FOMO. Fuck yeah, who cares? It's only money. Plus, I feel I'm very excited about what's coming. And I don't care what my entry is. I really don't give a fuck. And no FASB implemented. For what? I mean, for CleanSpark it was. For MicroStrategy it isn't yet. That's going to be fun. Ted, CleanSpark retest trend line and SEMA. Now we need to go to 20%. Yeah, true. Good point. All right, I'm going to go 73 cents a contract. I really don't fucking care. Oh, hey, do we partially fill or fully fill? Fully filled. Cool. So I got one done at 72 cents. Stream is great. Sweet. Glad to hear it. All right, 1 sec. I'm just finishing up my other one. We got data. We got data coming in. Michigan, consumer sentiment, preliminary, 67.8. So it's lower than expected at 71.1 and 72. So this might actually lead towards, again, maybe we should lower rates. 5 years, 3.3%. So that's not a crazy number. It's ticked up slightly higher for inflation expectations. Michigan consumer expectations, 67.3, slightly lower than the consensus and forecast. This is probably good. Current conditions, these are well into expansion territory, and they had major leaps. So we probably want to see them just stabilize a little bit. Current conditions, 68.7 versus 73 and 74.3. Michigan inflation expectations, 4.3%. That sucks versus a forecast of 3.4. So that holds off the whole, is the Fed going to lower rates type conversation. So we'll see what comes from that. Now it looks like CleanSpark is up 35%, so 0.73. I got my calls at 0.72, so it looks like that's coming back to earth a little bit. I'm going to probably pick up another 500 at 0.7. I'm just going to leave that order out there because I do think that this will come back a little bit from the euphoria. But I don't care. I'm going into CleanSpark now. I don't want to deal with this shit every day. I don't want to day trade. Fuck that. All right, so wholesale inventory is negative 0.5%, and that is right at forecast and consensus. So nothing too crazy here. Bitcoin's retracing a little bit from some of this economic data. I think the Michigan inflation expectations are what are scaring people. I don't think they did, Jay. I don't see on the call CleanSpark. No, they implemented it a while ago. I think they've been using them for a while. I think all the miners are pretty much doing that. The only ones that I don't think are doing that are going to be like MicroStrategy. I don't think MicroStrategy's implemented it. But if you look here, you can see how CleanSpark had a good quarter. Yeah, they implemented FASB. They did that a while ago. And so if we look over here, I'll let it refresh and whatever. We'll get back to it. Oh, there we go. So if you look, I mean, these are good revenues, right? This is a really great quarter. Now Mara has that in there too. All these miners are going to have a good Q1. You can just expect that. And I like what's happening with Bitcoin right now. I think we're sitting in a good place. But we're coming back to reality. It looks like I'm partially filled now on CleanSpark at probably an average of 0.71 per contract, so up about 30% on the day. I'm okay with that. I think these are going to be good numbers. You retired guys know everything. Yeah, it helps when you're retired. It makes it easier to know what's going on. So TLT is not being a great hedge today, down 0.71%. But again, I think TLT is more about the long game than the short. So I'm down about 15K on that one, but I don't think that matters at all. I think it's going to do a really good job in the future. HIMS, 12%. Cool. All right, let's go back to, I want to get through some of these Trump things because I think they're really important to talk about. So Elon Musk said American weapons programs needs to be completely redone. The current strategy is to build a small number of weapons at a high price to fight yesterday's war. And again, just completely inefficiently. Unless there are immediate and dramatic changes, America will lose the next war very badly. So I agree, and we're going to start doing something about that. Philip Anderson said, breaking, Democrats purposely caused the price of eggs and chicken to skyrocket. It was 100% their fault. Timothy Cashin talks about how they arrested the USDA inspector Phyllis Fong, a 22-year deep state operative, is one of the key players behind the artificial inflation of poultry and egg prices in the U.S. She ordered the culling of millions of healthy birds using the fake excuse of mutating bird flu. But here's the truth. There was no pandemic. Fong personally ordered mass bird exterminations in 2024, targeting farms in Colorado, Ohio, Arizona, Louisiana, and Nebraska. One case, Louisiana, set the stage. A man who did not work on a poultry farm was allegedly diagnosed with H5N1 after finding dead birds in his yard. The CDC then invented a panic story claiming 66 people were infected. Sources say that the number is entirely fabricated. Before the media even blasted this fake outbreak, Fong and Biden's corrupt FDA sent teams of inspectors in full hazmat suits to Nebraska, ordering the instant killing of 600,000 birds. The farm owner, who recently tested his flock and found zero signs of bird flu, refused, but it didn't matter. Fong had already signed off on the order, threatening him with the $4 billion in fines and prison time if he didn't comply. This is fascinating, guys. So she thought she was untouchable when Trump began cleansing the deep state in January. She refused to leave, but publicly claiming Trump has no authority over federal watchdogs. The next day, karma struck and security forced her out, delivering her straight to JAG investigators. Now you know why. Wait, what does this say? Mrs. Fong was an inspector general for USDA and not USDA inspector. Oh, okay. She was escorted out of her place of employment. She was not arrested. Okay. So the headline is a little bit off. But again, if this is remotely true about this portion of the story, where there wasn't actually bird flu and that this guy, they didn't change that. So that part wasn't community noted. So egg prices high. I don't know. Maybe it was because of that. And does she have an affiliation with China? I don't know. When do you think CleanSpark will break out? How long will it take? I think it's in the process of doing it right now. But I think the economic data that came in with the consumer expectations for inflation, if you look here, this number shot up a lot. And we don't want that. It's creating a narrative that's negative, right? It's the highest inflation expectation numbers that we saw since we spiked at the end of 2023. So the question is, does it do the same thing and does it roll over? I think it will. So I think it's already happening. Seems like this is a year of reversals. We didn't really have one day where we held the trend. Yes, that's true. How about ARKG breakout? ARKG's already started its breakout. Let me just pull it up real quick here. What contract you bought? I bought the same one that I already had, the 37. But there's probably plenty of other contracts you could jump into. So let's do daily here so that you can see it. So ARKG had a downward trend that we broke above for the first time. And if you look here, like magic, we're back testing that. So we broke above it, and really, we're like right at it. This line can vary just a little bit. It's probably more accurately represented right here. So we're trying to back test this and turn it into support. And if we can do that, then we're set to rock. Again, guys, markets, I feel like I say this just constantly, but markets will test you in more ways than one, and they'll do it for long periods of time to see what your conviction level is. This year will be a year of testing conviction in markets, but I feel very, very confident about everything that I'm in, so I am not worried about a test. And again, this pattern right here, this is some of the strongest into this downward resistance line. This is easily the strongest pattern we've seen on the weekly time frame. 3 weeks in a row of solid green that we're going to have heading into next week with an impulse that made it up to 28.38. If you look back here, heading into this trend line, look how weak all of these were. Look at this. Wicks, straight down. Gets up here, straight down. Gets up here, wicks above, straight down. There, though, we did have technically 3 at it. And so that's probably the strongest trend that we saw back in July of 2023. But then couldn't even get near it, Now here we got full candle bodies. If we close up at this level, this is by far the most powerful impulse higher we've had after a consolidation in this lower range going back to October of 2023, 14 months ago. I'm sorry, almost 15 months ago. So this is as good as it gets for upside. This is a $1.1 billion asset under management investment. This thing can 2x easily. I'm very, very confident about it. Balls of steel, everyone. Balls of steel. Yes, you have to have that. Echo, thoughts on the Trump news of cutting healthcare workers and FDA, CDC that affect ARCG? It's going to be all deregulation. If anything, it should be very positive. It should be very positive. They're trying to get rid of the bureaucrats that are making it to where we can't, come up with new research. We can't come up with new treatments because there's some drug company that wants to make sure that they're still selling their drug. So genomic sector has really been pushed behind and left for dead because of the Biden administration and just the lack of willingness and innovation and really just the deep state. And again, there's plenty of Republican rhinos that are affiliated with getting paid by big pharma, right? But now it looks like we have had, guys, and I don't have this maybe right here, but we have had Tulsi Gabbard now and Robert F. Kennedy make it through the committee. And now the next thing is, or the House, and now the next thing is heading off to the Senate. So right here, breaking, the Senate advanced Tulsi and RFK Jr. for Trump cabinet. So it's out of committee in the Senate, and then they're going to be getting ready for a vote to confirm these two people. Kash Patel has been pushed out to next week, but this is on track to have a new head of U.S. intelligence and a new head of Health and Human Services. These guys will greatly transform these, and I think the narrative behind ARCG will be sick. That's my take. Dario, do you think it will be like last year? The market was down early in the year, and so just to be clear, guys, and again, FS Insight was talking about this already, and I've talked about it and showed you a bunch of charts. We were positive in the month of January, and like with an 89% success rate, that means that we end an average return for the year of like 18 to 19% for 2025. So and then when it underperforms, when you do bad in January, so like that's why they have the saying, so goes January, so goes the year. If you do bad at the beginning of January, then there's like a 50% success rate of being negative for the year. So we did what we needed to do in order to be able to go higher. And this year is going to be a good year, whether it happens in the first half or the second half or the third, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Or the third quarter, fourth, we'll see. But it's going to be a good year, and I think Bitcoin's going to really prosper off of it. So again, this is a Scott Bessent official fan page, because I don't even think he has an X account. But it says President Trump has just signed an executive order requiring an audit of every NGO which relies on federal funding, per Reuters. Biden gave billions to these NGOs to help facilitate an invasion into our country, like the Red Cross, who is providing literal maps to help illegals This is a map. Help illegals get to the U.S.-Mexico border. And now justice is coming. I love that. So again, ignore all the short-term noise, guys. Ignore all the short-term noise and just focus on the long-term vision. President Trump's plan for the largest cut in tax history for the middle-class working Americans. No tax on tips. This is all stuff that we're going to be pushing through Congress in probably Q1. No tax on tips. No tax on seniors and Social Security. No tax on overtime pay. Renew Trump's middle-class tax cuts. Adjusting the SALT cap. Eliminate special tax breaks for billionaire sport team owners. Close the carried interest tax deduction loophole. Tax cut for made in America products. This will be huge and very, very positive for America. I hope you guys realize that. Also, let's see. Wow, Tesla calls are up today. I'm up $25,000 in my Tesla calls, 4% on the day, even though the stock is down 1.34%. That's fascinating. Chuck Colesto said, breaking report, Homan reveals he found out ICE operation in Colorado got leaked. Listen to this, guys. Listen to this. This is amazing. Listen to Homan and how tough this dude is. He's going to make sure that we're deporting all the bad guys, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Have so many questions. First of all, if they're shouting and helping these people get away with bullhorns, how is that legal? To get help from the people in the streets. I know they can protest, but that's not what they're doing.
You're exactly right. When they come to they cross the line of impediment, and that's why I'm working very close, starting this morning with Department of Justice, and where do they cross that line of impediment? So they may find themselves in a pair of handcuffs very soon. So working with DOJ on that, get some legal guidance on that. I'm not an attorney. I know what SecOps is about. I know what crossing that line is, but getting DOJ back up on that. So it's something we're looking at right now, Harris. We're not going to tolerate it anymore. This is not a game. When we show up these sites, this is a dangerous job for the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol and all the DOJ agencies. To have that type of interference puts our officers at great risk. Not only the officers, it puts the aliens at great risk because anything can happen when we take our eyes off the goal here. So we're addressing that immediately today. I'm addressing OPSEC today, Operational Security, how these leaks are happening. We've already identified how this operation got leaked. I'll deal with that today. So
somebody's getting fucked up. So again, these guys they're going to start coming after protesters that are actively impeding these arrests. If they're chanting stuff from a bullhorn, trying to tell people to run away or whatever, they're gonna go. You're getting jail time, man. You're gonna lose your fucking job. You're gonna get fucked up. These guys aren't playing around. And somebody said, Ago said Polymarket odds have Tulsi at 98%, RFK at 97%, and cash at 96%. Those are pretty high. And again, 52 Senate just voted 52 to 47 to advance Robert F. Kennedy's Jr. confirmations to the final step. So we're at the final step. That's wonderful. This is last night. Elon Musk is currently in the Oval Office at the White House wearing a giant MAGA hat while meeting with President Trump. This is so great. President Trump signs an executive order to review this is about the NGOs. Great. We got Trump removes FEC Commissioner Ellen Weintraub. She calls it illegal, and it could be. We'll find out. I mean, he's just going to do shit and then let the courts figure it out. Longtime FEC commissioner says she was removed by Trump in a letter she shared online. The president does not have the authority to remove an FEC commissioner. This is not how the law works. She was appointed by Bush, has been critical of Trump's election fraud claims. Legal experts say an FEC commissioner can only be replaced if they resign or their term expires. The move is expected to trigger legal battles, which is fine. Either way, though, he's kind of kicked her ass out until there's a legal battle that determines what happens with her. Breaking, President Trump's EPA administrator, Lee Zeldin, just eliminated the agency's Office of Environmental Justice, which made up of 200 bureaucrats. Billionaire Jeff Bezos and his green initiative, Bezos Earth Fund, has ended its $18 million grant to a major climate certification group, sparking outrage from climate activists who claim billionaires are aligning with Trump's policies. The Science-Based Targets Initiative, which assesses corporate decarbonization efforts, lost 61% of its funding as Bezos. So we're just going to see a lot less crap in regard to all this shit. It's all going away. And again, USAID is gone, which is great. Let me just see if there's anything in geopolitics. Reform UK are now 11 points ahead of the Conservatives. A revolution is happening in British politics. I agree. We've got the best prison system in the world. This is actually astonishing. So this is what Bukele has created in El Salvador and what he's looking to do, basically taking some Tren de Aragua and all these other people that are like really bad criminals, taking them from the United States if we can't get them into other countries, and then putting them here, and maybe potentially really, really bad U.S. citizens that are like violent offenders, arrested 40 times, murder, all this other shit. They might send them here to have much lower reduced prison costs. These prisons are like nothing I've ever seen before, though. They're incredibly clean. They're incredibly well organized. They make it to where these guys have to work in order to be able to reduce their sentence. It's shockingly different. I just want to show this. This is so crazy. I think this is going to happen. And whether it should, I don't know. I don't want to battle that discussion, but just watch this. Just look at it. You got to see it.
El Salvador es duro con la criminalidad, pero también tiene el mejor programa de reinserción del mundo, donde los reos en fase de confianza son altamente productivos. Miles de ellos trabajan durante diferentes turnos en talleres que operan las 24 horas del día dentro de las cárceles. Este es el taller de maquila textil, donde 6,600 reos.
So what I want to point out here is what they're doing to transform their country and how much better it's getting, and how that same formula is going to be used in Argentina and here. So it's worth an extra 3 minutes.
Producen hasta 600,000 prendas al mes.
You'll see a lot.
Se han elaborado más de 188,000 prendas de uso médico, entre uniformes, mascarillas.
And the thing to remember is their financial situation and their criminal situation that they were dealing with before they implemented these changes is not much different than what we're dealing with ourselves.
Y gabachas. También más de 114,000 indumentarias deportivas para proyectos del INDES. Más de 18,000 uniformes para estudiantes.
So instead of having people just sitting in fucking cells, why don't we have all of them working? Why don't we have all of them working to be productive and to get them back into society in some way? And watch, it's not just here. It's not just making textiles. It's a lot more.
Antes de escuelas públicas y más de 9,000 uniformes para nuestros militares. Pronto empezará a funcionar el taller de zapatería, donde 6,300 reos producirán 150,000 pares de zapatos al mes, destinados a estudiantes, custodios, bomberos y personal de otras instituciones de gobierno. Más de 6,000 reos apoyan a la constructora El Salvador fuera de las cárceles, construyendo hospitales, unidades de salud, delegaciones policiales, escuelas, viviendas, además de la restauración del Palacio Nacional y la mejora de escenarios deportivos. Los reos ayudan al crecimiento de la agricultura. Desplegamos cuadrillas para construir casas mayas, que son estructuras con sistemas de riego integrados para cultivos en ambientes protegidos en diferentes zonas de nuestro país. En nuestros talleres se han elaborado más de 2,000 exhibidores para los agromercados que nuestro gobierno ha habilitado en todo el país. Tenemos un taller de mobiliario donde 2,400 reos han fabricado más de 70,000 muebles para escuelas, entre pupitres, mesas y sillas. También producen diferentes tipos de muebles para centros de atención a la primera infancia, actividades lúdicas y pizarras. En el taller de línea blanca, 1,200 reos reparan electrodomésticos, herramientas de construcción y maquinaria industrial. Esto incluye ventiladores, aires acondicionados.
So here's the thing I just want to throw out to you guys and make you think about. So this man is willing to charge us very, very low amounts of money to be able to house prisoners. And he could do that because he's actually using the prisoners to transform his country while reducing their sentence if they help with this kind of stuff. And if they don't, they just sit in isolation all day. So almost everybody wants to do it. And this just looks amazing. I don't know enough about it, but in general, I really don't like government-sponsored slave labor. It's not... Slave labor is a really rough term to use when you're going to imprison people and make them fucking sit in a cell all day. What's the difference between that and trying to rehabilitate them and turn them into somebody who can work and be a productive member of society? So I wouldn't call it slave labor personally myself. I would call it the ability to develop these people a skill and offset the expense of their prison because they commit violent crimes. If you're murdering people, if you're robbing people all the time, and you're habitual repeat offenders that are not good for your civilization, I think you need to be retrained. And I don't think in the American prison system we do a good job of that at all. We just let them lift weights, get really fucking big, sit in cells all day, maybe, stab each other every once in a while with a homemade tool. And we don't actually do anything to help these people re-enter society. So I would argue that this is a much better solution than what we do in the United States. And I mean, again, if they're in prison, they're not slaves, they're prisoners. So why not have them be productive and help their society while they're imprisoned for years or decades? So again, I think I completely disagree with that the slave labor thing. I see how people use words like that, but I don't think it's applicable at all.
Cafeteras, microondas,
and I mean, look at these guys. These guys before this, these guys were shooting, stabbing, and robbing people all fucking day. Now they look like they're getting ready to, maybe after this, they're going to have like a potluck or something and hang out and talk shop.
Para áreas de descanso de policías y médicos.
And there's reasons why they put them in pink and they do other stuff to basically emasculate them and make it to where they don't, like, I'm not a badass who's going to fucking shank you type thing. It's all psychological in nature and really smart. And this is better than, again, just having prisoners sit around all day and not be productive. That is not a good way to retrain somebody to be a better member in society.
Además de taladros, pulidoras, equipos de soldadura, luminarias LED y otro equipo industrial. En la granja penitenciaria,
I mean, look at this. This is fucking amazing.
Trabajan en agricultura, avicultura y ganadería.
If you want to see slave labor, look at what the Chinese are doing to the Uyghurs. That's slave labor. Where they might just cut you open and use you for parts. That would be a problem. If El Salvador is doing that, that would be a problem. This looks good to me.
Para producir sus propios alimentos y que el sistema penitenciario sea cada vez más autosostenible. También cuidan más de 44,000 gallinas ponedoras para llegar a producir 50,000 huevos al día. En el taller automotriz, un equipo de 900 reos repara, da mantenimiento y brinda asistencia a las flotas vehiculares del sistema de salud y del sistema penitenciario. A la Policía Nacional Civil se le han reparado más de 2,100 vehículos entre patrullas y motocicletas. Tenemos otros talleres de tapicería industrial, pintura artística, alfarería y producción de detergentes que usamos en las cárceles. En 2024, se capacitaron más de 21,500 personas privadas de libertad en las distintas áreas del Centro de Formación Laboral. Desde su inicio, más de 37,000 reos han recibido formación mientras...
I'm sorry, this is just fucking amazing. They're helping these people with art. They're helping them with everything. This is the way every prison system should be working.
Tras cumplen su condena. Nuestro sistema penitenciario es un ejemplo de orden y productividad. Cada día, miles de reos reciben una segunda oportunidad.
If they don't want to do this, they don't have to do this. And if they don't do this, then they just sit and rot in prison for their full sentence. If they want a shorter sentence, they have to do this. They have to learn a skill. They have to contribute. Isn't this meritocracy at its core?
Para trabajar dignamente y contribuir al desarrollo de El Salvador.
Yeah, it's literally free training, but then at the same time, they're helping offset the cost of their prison sentence. And who knows, maybe there's profit that's made with this. Fucking great. This is a much better program than anything I've ever seen. The Thermocycle said, my dad was working in a place like that in Brazil, and he told us amazing stories about how prisoners got better and made some money, reduced their sentence, and got better reestablished into society. Isn't that what we want? I can tell you, where I live in the Midwest, we don't do anything to help these fucking people. There's like a section that they put you if you're a good prisoner, but even then, and some of them can go work at like, I don't know, a fucking restaurant as a dishwasher or some shit, but it's nothing like this where you're tying people in with different skill sets into different jobs and having it be run by the prison system and integrating them in with the society. Like, to this degree, there's nothing like it. Because you have to remember, they're talking about 35,000 people, right? They just started these programs, and when they arrested all these people, they had about 75,000 gang members that got pulled in. Some got released because they realized they shouldn't be there. So you're talking about 50 to 60% of their prison population doing this. It's a huge number. So I don't know. The more I look at this, the more interested I get in it. And in Germany, they're begging for X. They're saying German patriots are marching in the streets demanding free speech and access to X. The EU must comply. I love that. This person said, I instructed the IDF to prepare for a plan that will allow any resident of Gaza who wishes to leave to do so to any country willing to receive them. I think that should be a thing. There's over 2.2 million people roughly in Gaza. And if there's people that are willing to live or leave, we need to allow them the ability to be able to do that. You got to realize, guys, since the 1945 range, I think, there were 80,000 people in Gaza. Now there's 2.2 million. So they've been fucking like bunnies. And their population has grown immensely. While all the Arab nations around them, all the Jews have disappeared, either exterminated or just got out because everybody wanted to kill them. So it's a weird situation in Gaza, and it's unsustainable. There's too many people in too small of a place. So it's very interesting to see what comes out of all this with Trump. Whether you agree with it or not, there's probably going to be things you don't agree with. It's okay. Just in, Spain and Ireland must take displaced Palestinians from Gaza, says Israel's defense minister. So this is based upon statements that have been made from these different countries on how they're willing to take refugees. So again, if you want to be pro-Palestine, what better way to be pro-Palestine than take a bunch of fucking Palestinians? So have at it. The AfD has announced that it will follow President Trump and withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord. Cool. Fuck that shit. Javier Milei is withdrawing from Argentina from the World Health Organization. Good. Fuck that shit. And what's going on right here? This is a bunch of South Africans chanting death to the white farmer. They also make statements about murdering 5 white kids for every black kid that gets killed. They're basically screaming genocide here. And so here's hundreds of thousands of people that are talking about murdering white people. So they're saying, kill the white farmer, kill the Boer, kill the white farmer. This shouldn't be okay. This shouldn't be okay. And again, I showed this stuff before, and we'll finish here. 2 armed gunmen walked into a Brussels subway station. This is just on the 5th. Started firing into the crowd, murdering people. This doesn't even make the news in the world right now because it's just so commonplace. And then somebody posted underneath of that, yeah, and here's Paris the other day. I don't know. It might have gotten taken down because it showed a guy getting stabbed to death in the back by an immigrant who, whatever, just wanted to fucking murder somebody that day in Paris. So whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, so here's the gist of what I want to get across to everybody, guys. Ignore the short-term pain in markets. Get some TLT if you don't have it. Today's a great day to do that. It's down 0.85%. I think you could even go down like 1.5% today before we get a bounce so that it closes that gap. And I think I would be very positive on Bitcoin related investments because again, we talked about all that stuff earlier. You've got the FDIC allowing banks to get into this. You've got Michael Saylor hanging out at Mar-a-Lago. You've got Fred Thiel testifying in front of Congress, telling people that Choke Point 2.0 was bad, and we're doing away with all these things. We're creating strategic Bitcoin reserve initiatives in half the fucking country right now at the state level. We're probably going to be doing that at the federal level too. We've got tons of things in play to be able to make it to where we're reducing taxes and it's expanding the U.S. economy, and we've got absolutely brilliant people in power underneath Trump, like Scott Bessent, Stephen Moran, and so many more that are going to transform the United States of America into something beautiful. And Doge is definitely a huge part of that, right? So I would just encourage everybody to have some vision of the future and be okay with short-term volatility. You have to be. If you're not going to win in the future. And there'll be plenty of people, and it's so funny watching people. You can see social sentiment from being a YouTuber or on X, right? I got 82,000 followers. It's a decent sum. You can see social sentiment, and you can see It's about the time where everybody gives up, and I try and give them inspiration, but it still only helps so much. It's about the time everybody gives up, sells out, walks away, that the market will absolutely scream higher. And Chris, I don't know if Chris is still here. Maybe he took off, but he's been around for a while. He was with me in the Facebook days many years ago, and so he's seen how it works, at least through one cycle already. And so again, I would just encourage people to have vision. If you don't have vision, you're going to get hurt. Jesse, is buying MicroStrategy 380 calls for 6/18/2026 too much risk? It just depends. It's up to you, man. I think that they're going to pay out. I don't know what the multiplier is on them, but it might not be worth it. It might not be worth it to have the extra leverage. I'm still in my CleanSpark ones though, but whatever. So it's up to you on what level of risk. If you're getting a 2x, then you'll have to determine whether that's worth the risk. I don't love right now that my CleanSpark is only 2x. It's probably like 3 now. It's probably a little higher, but anyway, the market will stay irrational longer than you stay solvent, and so that's a good point to not maybe applying too much leverage either. I think MSTX might even be a better play than that specific call position. Just I don't know. You do you, man. But I love you guys. I think this is it for today. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I'm probably going to go and chill now and focus on my health and getting and working out and eating the right foods and doing all the stuff I need to do. Maybe some yoga and stretching and all that shit, because I don't want to die from a heart attack like our poor friend Mr. Lewis Charge Stack. So I want to learn from his example. So anyway, I love you guys. I hope you have a great weekend, and let's do it again. Peace out, okay?